Hey, old folks, and welcome to this part 2 of the Marta Arts murder. Now, I have a statement to make here. Sometimes we forget, trial streamers, we forget when we try to describe it. We focus a lot on the of course the person who allegedly did the deed, and of course we focus on the victim. We forget that families of the victims are around, and I got a comment by a person I assume is a family member of the victim, Mr. Mathis. And I apologize if I appear unsincere, if I speculate on things that later will turns out to be not true. And so that I did yesterday a bit when I speculated if this was some kind of gang, and I found it after some consideration. Yeah, but it doesn't make sense because one is 38 and one is 45. It doesn't make sense because gangbangers rarely gets to that age. And I was notified that no, Mr. Mathis, no gang affiliation whatsoever. So I set the record clear. Mr. Mathis, the victim, no gang affiliation whatsoever. And to the family of Mr. Mathis, I apologize. And I hope you accept my apology. As I said, sometimes as I stream trials, us trial streamers forget that there are people around that we have to take into consideration when it comes to this. We really, or I really shouldn't speculate too wildly. I should listen to the evidence and listen to the prosecution, then listen to the defense, and then come to conclusion based on the evidence. And thank you to the family of Mr. Mathis to reminding me that in all the snark I have and all the snark I bring, I should be more respectful towards the families. All right. With that said, let's continue with the trial. We watched a good bit of it yesterday, and we're going to continue with it today. So let's see now who is the next witness on the stand and if we get closed captions today. No. It jumped back to the beginning. Oh, of course it did. We listen to this guy. We listen to that guy. I don't think we listen to him. No. Oh, there we are. Yep.
Next witness.
I think we'll call Sergeant David Pullen.
Raise your hand. One sit. You swear to affirm that testimony you give the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth of God.
I do.
Thank you.
No.
Can you state or spell your name for reference?
My name is Sergeant David Pullen. That's DAVID PULLIN.
Good afternoon, Sergeant. Can you tell the jurors how you are currently employed?
I'm employed with the Marta Police Department.
And how long have you been employed to work with the Marta Police Department?
I've been with Marta Police Department for 21 years.
Okay. And can you explain to the jurors through your tenure, your 21 years with the Marta Police Department, the areas in which you have worked and assigned?
It's going to be kind of long. I started off in the 5 Points area. I worked downtown 5 Points, not too far from here. I've done that detail for about 15 years. Then I worked as a detective for a year and a half. And then after that, I got promoted to sergeant, where I'm a supervisor on the North Line. And I'm now currently assigned to our training department.
And back on August 11th, 2024, would you have been a supervisor of the North Line?
Yes, I was.
Pointing to the jurors, what do you mean by, or what is encapsulated in the North Line?
So North Line, for anyone who's familiar with Marta, that's going to be from the Civic Center train station north all the way up to the Doraville train station. And then on the other side, it's going to be all the way up to the North Spring station.
Pretty large area.
Yes.
And can you explain to the jurors, I guess as a supervisor of the North Line, if a call comes in and you respond with what your roles and duties are as a responding supervisor?
So for me, coming to that area, I was there as support for the supervisor who was already on scene. So we had a supervisor on scene. I came to back up that supervisor. At that point, I'm going to check on the officers, make sure they're okay. And then I'm going to do whatever it is that I can to assist.
And on August 11th, 2024, did you respond to the Marta Arts Center station?
I did.
And was it approximately 9 p.m. On August 11th?
Yes, it was.
And the Arts Center station, is that here within City of Atlanta, Fulton County?
Yes, it is.
And when you arrived on scene, you said that you were there as backing up other officers and supervisors. Do you recall kind of the first thing that you did as backup when you arrived?
So once I got there, we already had a clothing description and we had a description of the person. So what I did was I checked the surrounding area. I went to the bus loop, saw that there was already people there. They already had the crime scene tape up. So I went out the bus loop. And the next thing that I want to do is check for areas that the suspect may be in. There was a parking deck right to the south of that bus loop. So the first thing I did was I and another officer, I grabbed the officer and we went to that parking deck and we want to check all the areas that a suspect could be hiding in. And then from there, we checked some of the areas of the streets. We drove around the streets. We went, for anyone who's familiar with the area, from the Arts Center station to the Midtown station, which is south. So once we get to the Midtown station, we check the Midtown platform and some of the surrounding streets of that area, but we were unable to find anyone who matched the clothing description or the physical description given.
And do you recall what the clothing and the physical description was of the individual?
I do not from that far back.
Okay. And can you explain to the jurors, is the Arts Center one of the larger Marta properties on the North Line?
It's up there. There are some larger. Lindbergh is larger, Sandy Springs, North Springs, but it is a pretty large station. It is one of the larger ones.
Okay. And I want to show you what's previously admitted in evidence. It states at 136. And if you will review states at 136, and after reviewing it, we let me know if your recollection is refreshed as it relates to the description of the individual that you were canvassing for, searching for.
All right, and again, some trigger warnings. If we see
Does that help refresh recollection?
Yes.
Okay.
sorry, if they show video again of when the crime happened, this will happen, and I will describe what is going on. Because one, I don't want my channel deleted, and two, I've seen most things that a human being should not see. As I explained to you guys yesterday, I've seen a man covered in quicklime. I've seen scalps torn off. Everything you can imagine happen as a workplace accident, I've seen. And so, for better or worse, it's better that I subject myself to it since I'm already numb than exposing you guys for it, because sometimes these are really gruesome and it stays with you. All right, let's continue.
And can you tell the jurors, after reviewing the states of 136, what was the description of the individual you were searching for?
So the description was given was a black male wearing black jeans and a t-shirt.
Okay. And do you remember the statement referencing anything about a hat as well?
I have to, yeah, I believe that is hat. I didn't see the A, so it looked like hot, but yes.
And now you indicated that you and a fellow Marta officer searched the area of the parking structure, the parking garage. You searched other areas of the actual Marta Arts Center as well, in addition to the parking garage.
So I checked the immediate bus loop area. I did a quick loop around the bus loop area, try to make sure no one's hiding behind dumpsters or other buses or the wood line, anything like that. And then beyond that, the parking deck. We did have other units on scene that checked the platform.
Okay. So it's fair to say that yourself and then other units were kind of working together to fully search the structure of the property of the Arts Center there.
Yes, sir.
And I believe you said you and a fellow officer then, I guess, drove the surrounding streets and areas up until the Midtown station?
Yes, that's correct.
Can you explain to the jurors approximately how far is the Midtown station from Arts Center station?
Well, from Arts Center to Midtown is going to be roughly just short, a little over a mile, right about a mile from one station to the next.
Okay. And were you successful in locating someone matching the description that you described here today as you searched the streets and the surrounding area between the Arts Center and Midtown Station?
No, nobody that matched the total description.
And when you arrived on scene, just to back up a little bit, when you arrived at the Arts Center station, was the victim still present on the ground?
I really can't say for sure. My main goal was looking for the suspect. I knew that we already had people on the scene who was rendering aid and taking care of the victim. My goal at that point was to check the surrounding areas.
And after you checked the surrounding areas, did you return back to the Arts Center station?
I did.
And can you explain to the jury kind of what your role as you returned back to the Arts Center station was as a backup supporting a supervisor?
So once I returned, it was no longer, it wasn't my position to try to set up the crime scene, anything like that. I just want to check the well-being of my officers, check the well-being of all the employees, make sure that everyone is okay. And that's pretty much what I did from that point.
And as it relates to, I guess, assignments for this case, was the lead investigator or the investigator assigned kind of to process the crime scene and do other items of investigation, Detective Brett Steele?
That's titled, yes. Yeah, so the detectives were on scene by the time I came back, and we pretty much just let them do their job. Like I said, I was once in the criminal investigation unit, so I understand the process. You don't need a lot of people in your way when you're trying to work. So I stepped back and I let the detectives handle what the detectives do, and I just checked other areas and checked on my employees.
And did that kind of complete your part of role as it relates to this investigation for the shooting on August 11th at the Arts Center station?
Yes, that's pretty much all I did on scene.
Thank you for having me. Further questions? That's all I have with you.
Ms. Wood, any questions for Sergeant Pullen?
Question, Sergeant. Thanks for being here.
All right, thank you.
All right, jurors, any questions for Sergeant? Nope. Well, same. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you.
Feel free to go. You can leave that right there. They'll figure out what to do with it. Next witness is longer or shorter? How would you characterize the next witness?
Like medium.
Medium, somewhere in the middle. We'll take a break after the next witness. Let's try to get through the next witness, please.
Call
Yep.
Officer Williams.
Officer Williams. Okay. Yeah. As I said yesterday, Mr. Jingles, stay on the platform. As I said yesterday, this is not going to be a long term.
When you state and spell your name correct.
Gregory Williams Jr., Gregory, Williams, Jr.
And good afternoon, Officer Williams.
Afternoon.
Can you tell the jurors how you are currently employed, sir?
I'm a community supervision officer with the Department of Community Supervision.
And how long have you been a community supervision officer for the Department of Supervision?
July 1st will be 26 years.
Okay. And can you explain to the jurors, as a community supervising officer, what I guess your role and your duties are for your position?
We supervise felony offenders within the community. I'm a part of the Day Reporting Center, which is a community-based treatment program connected with the Department of Community Supervision.
And in the last 26 years, have you been connected to the Daily Reporting Center as a part of your duties, or is that something that's occurred recently?
That's a part of my duties.
And I guess, can you explain to the jurors as it relates to supervision of any specific individual, what you do as it relates to supervising them?
Okay, basically what I do is I ensure that they comply with the conditions of the program, which is different types of programming, community service, field interaction, field visits at their residence.
Okay. And at any given time, can you tell the jurors approximately how many people are you supervising?
Approximately about 45.
Okay. And when does your supervision, I guess, start as it relates to any person assigned to you?
Once they complete the Day Reporting Center intake process.
Okay. And how often, once an individual is assigned under your supervision, do you interact or meet with any individual person?
They come to the program daily, and I will see them at the residence once or twice a month. Once at the residence, and then one time either by video or at place of employment.
Okay. And you said they come to where daily?
The Day Reporting Center, which is the probation office.
Okay. And do you see them each time that they come in daily?
I may not see them every day because I may not necessarily be there, but for the most part, yes.
And can you tell the jurors, as a part of your supervision, were you assigned supervise somebody by the name of Xavier Mosley?
Yes.
And do you recall when your supervision began of Xavier Mosley?
Yes, I do.
Tell the jurors when that began.
June 2023.
And in June of 2023, Judge, can we approach for just a quick second?
Sure.
Thank you.
So this guy is here to talk about probation. I assume that might be because he was Mr. Mosley's probation officer, or just general about probation. Seems they are having a sidebar. Hi, Gwendolyn. Hi, DSN.
I think you said July. You said your supervision began, I think you said July 2023?
June 2023.
June 2023. And I guess, can you talk to the jurors about the initial steps that you take with an individual here, Xavier Mosley, when your supervision begins in June of 2023?
Basically what happens is that he goes through an intake process with our counselors within the program. And then he's assigned to an officer, which he was assigned to me at that time. While in the program, he's required to complete 5 drug screens per month, 80 hours of community service, abide by 7 p.m. to 6 a.m., 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew, and be seen at his residence twice a month, either once at his residence, like I said before, and one video interaction or another interaction at his residence, at his place of employment.
Is all that required as part of the return of the integration process back into the community?
It is a part of the program, yes.
And you said if your supervision began in June of 2023, can you approximate, we don't need an exact number, from June of 2023 and then August of 2024, approximately how many times did you interact with Xavier Mosley?
At least I know at a minimum twice a month, because I would see him at the residence or by video. I would also see Mr. Mosley when he would come report to the office when he did attend classes.
2 or more times a month for over a year.
Yes.
Okay. And in August of 2024, were you contacted by members of the Marta Police Department as it relates to your supervision and interactions with Xavier Mosley?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And can you, well, I'm going to show you what the Marcus stated exhibit 57. And
Yeah, Dave, I'm keeping the name, the the Marta Arts murder, just because I know it annoys you.
we'll take a look at the states of 57. You recognize states of 57?
I do.
And how do you recognize state 57, sir?
I recognize Mr. Xavier Mosley because I've supervised him for a little over a year.
Okay. And is state exhibit 57 a photograph that was shown to you?
Not entirely sure why they are going through this, because those are prior acts. I don't know why they are talking about him being on probation. Dave, shouldn't that be outside? I mean, unless it's directly with the crime. This should be, I mean, on sentencing things, not as exhibits in the trial, right?
By the Marta police detectives back in August of 2024.
It is.
And it states exhibit 57, a fair and accurate copy of photographs that you were shown by a detective Stido on August 12th of 2024.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
This time around,
no.
the state would tender what's been marked as states exhibit 50.
He is identifying the defendant as the person on the pictures from the surveillance camera. Okay. Now I get it. Oh, and Dave said it might relate to an ancillary lesser offensive probation violation, or it could relate to his felony firearms charge, which they have to establish. He has a prior felony conviction. All right. Yeah. And also, is this the man on the surveillance video? And his probation officer is one that may or may not be able to identify somebody.
57 is evidence.
Ms. Wood, any objection to states 57?
Objection.
It is admitted.
Yep. And the defense attorney does not object.
Now, there we go. And while that's pulling up, can you do you remember prior to meeting with the detectives on August 12th, the last time you had interacted with Mr. Mosley?
It was July of 2024, a month before.
And on the screen before you should be there, states exhibit 57, the three photographs that you see, who is depicted in those photographs?
Mr. Mosley.
Okay, and the individual that's depicted in the photographs and the person that you have been supervising at this time now over a year, do you see Xavier Mosley in the courtroom here today?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and if you need to stand up and you point and identify the person you know, Xavier Mosley, by an article of clothing and where he's seated in the courtroom.
He's wearing a white button-down shirt, sitting to the right of me.
Okay, and
To the
who is a male or a female on his left and right hand side?
female on left and right side.
You can see at this time, we're going to let the record reflect that the witness, Officer Williams, has identified the defendant, Xavier Mosley.
He has?
And after you interacted with the detectives and they showed you the bolo photographs depicted in states of 57 of Mr. Mosley, did you ever have any contact with Mr. Mosley again?
No contact after that, no.
And after you spoke with the Marta detectives, as it relates to states of 57, did you have any other further involvement as in regards to the incident that occurred on August 11th, 2024?
Other than doing a probation warrant for his prior case, no.
Thank you very much, Officer Williams. I don't believe I have any further questions. So,
Ms. Wood, questions for Officer Williams?
Nice to see you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for being here. Just want to make sure I got my notes right. You supervised Mr. Mosley from June 2023 up until July 2024. Is that correct?
Actually, up until the date of the arrest on the So August, I would say 2024.
Okay, so over a year. Did you ever have any issues with him as a supervisee during that time span?
No major issues, no.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Body, any redirect? Okay, any questions from the jurors? Yes, here comes Deputy Gordon.
Oh, jury questions again. This jury is on it. I like jury questions. It gives you an inkling on where the jury is leaning. And that also gives both the prosecution and the defense a chance to, okay, need to work on something here. Now, so far, through all the witnesses so far, this is the first his defense attorney has asked a question. Dave says, this prosecutor sounds young and inexperienced. Yeah, he is very, he's very choppy. And he has no real flow in how he talks. It sounds like, yeah, very young and inexperienced. I don't know if that is correct. But yeah, that is a guy who should benefit from some drama lessons, or at least public speaking lessons, to learn how to articulate and get a good flow with his words.
Gordon.
They probably gave him a slam dunk conviction to get his feet wet a little. Yep. It might be so. It might be so.
Thank you.
And so far, I mean, we watched the video, we've seen the surveillance camera. This guy identified Mr. Mosley as the person on the surveillance video. Unless
Counsel?
the
We need to
defense
talk about these.
pulls out a rabbit from the hat. Yeah, this is kind of a slam dunk.
Let me ask you questions. It's already.
Right. Skip ahead a bit. Again, now is when the prosecution and the defense is talking with the judge about which questions can they ask, if all the questions are relevant. So I'm just skipping ahead here. They had a lot of questions, or one very debatable one.
About Officer Williams.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Wood asked you a question about how Mr. Mosley did under your supervision, and your answer was, if I get it close to right, was there were no major issues. Share with the jury what you're thinking of when you say major issue. What would an example be for someone under your supervision?
No major issues, I would say. If I had an issue as far as attending classes, then I would be able to address that issue, with Mr. Mosley and get that issue resolved. So when I say nothing major, that would be something that I would consider.
Okay, I'll make sure I understand your answer. Are you saying that while you were working with Mr. Mosley, he didn't attend some classes you wanted him to, but there was an intervention and then he began attending classes?
Absolutely.
And so that's not a major issue because you flagged it and he addressed it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what kind of classes would we be talking about?
A lot of them self-help programs, self-help classes, substance abuse classes as well.
This is all through the day reporting center?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it would be the issue, and it sounds like minor issue would be, hey, Mr. Mosley, you missed some classes. He was redirected and then began attending classes.
That would be correct.
Okay, so my question then is still, if that's not a major issue, not that he had.
I would prefer that the questions were asked by the prosecution, not the judge. Now, it's under the judge discretion, and these are good questions, but I still think that the proper way should be that this is for the prosecution to have follow-up questions.
But what would be a major issue if you're thinking, gosh, that's a major issue? We need to do something different.
Not attending at all, not adhering to his curfew. Not drug screening at all.
Okay, and these examples you're giving of not drug screening, not adhering to curfew, going to no classes at all, major issues, those are not things Mr. Mosley was doing. I know it's a double negative, but he was not skipping all his classes. And he was also not skipping all his drug screens. Is that right?
He was not skipping. He wasn't doing the minimum that were required.
Okay.
Or he might not have attended all the classes like he was supposed to on a regular basis.
But then you and he had a conversation and he addressed that. So that's what you meant by no major issues.
Yes, sir.
Great. Mr. Abadi, any follow-up with Officer Williams?
Very briefly, Officer Williams, if someone who was supervising was possessing a firearm without your knowledge, would you consider that to be a major issue?
Definitely, yes.
And was Mr. Mosley, was he permitted to carry a firearm?
No, he's not.
Okay. And would you consider someone entering a MART station, a transit station, and armed with a firearm and shooting somebody twice a major issue as it relates to you?
Definitely a major issue, yes.
Once you found out about Mr. Mosley's allegations about him shooting another individual, did that become a major issue as it relates to your supervision?
Absolutely.
Ms. Wood, any follow-up with Officer Williams?
Thank you for being here.
All right. Same, appreciate your time. If you gather up your paperwork, but leave at the table the exhibits, it'd be great. Thank you, sir. You're free to go. And ladies and gentlemen, you are free in just a moment to start your afternoon break. We'll try to keep it to about 10 minutes, but it actually is as long as you need. I won't make it much shorter than that, but if I send Deputy Gordon back there and you're not ready yet, you'll just say, we're not ready yet. I didn't mention it before, but the hallway that extends all the way down to a window where you can actually see daylight, you're free to wander the hallway. Just as you get further down the hallway, don't be on a real loud phone call. It's two other judges' chambers there, but it's effectively your hallway when we're taking breaks, and it's fine to fan out a little bit if you don't want to be clustered just in the jury room. Just don't go so far away that you're not back within the 10 minutes. But there's nothing wrong with being out in the hallway during the break and being on the call and just not being real loud on the call, so my colleagues don't come yell at me. So don't talk about the case. No outside research. We'll see you back here in about 10 minutes.
All right, you do it.
All right, let's see if they have something to discuss.
You're inclined, but I won't if I am inclined, but I won't if there's strong objection from one or both sides to bring juror 12 out. That's Mr. Hanks, aka Mr. Not Staying Awake during what's been going on, just to ask him if I think physically he's fine. I don't know. I'm trying to remember what he does. It's not a night job, but he's been a little drowsy, and I just want to nudge him a little bit about that not being okay. I figure we'll just do that at the end of the break. Any objection? I'll do all the talking. You don't need to say anything. Are you all right with that from the state, Mr. Body? Ms. Wood? Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah, as a juror, you need to stay awake. You really, stay awake.
You all are on break for about 10 minutes. We'll come back out here and finish up the afternoon with state's witnesses. I was going to ask the jurors, I forgot to do it. If you'll go back and tell them this in a minute, if they can stay a little past 5, just because we got a later start today. And so we don't have to hard stop at 5, but I don't want to say, hey, could you stay late if you've got witnesses that'll get us just through 4:45 or something. Are we good, do you think?
I think we're good at least 5.
Okay, all right. We just have them just have a discussion, and then I'll take their pulse when we come back from the break. If they could stay till more like 5:30ish, if we've got enough witnesses to do that.
Hey,
Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Small cross-examination.
It's moving it along.
Okay.
All right. I assume he won't be talking to the juror So let's skip ahead.
Ready? All right, we are back on the record in State versus Mosley after our afternoon break. Mr. Mosley is in court with his lawyers. We've got our prosecutors, and Deputy Gordon shared with me that the jurors are not able to stay particularly late. Is that correct? Okay. If you could bring Mr. Hanks out, please.
Mr. Hanks. He's the next witness, it seems.
Hello.
What's going on?
Take a seat. I have observed that you've been sleepy.
This is the
and I want to
juror.
make sure I refresh my recollection as to what you do for a living and everything. And I don't recall you having a situation where you work nights. You do work nights?
Yeah, for part-time.
Part-time. That's the difference. Okay. Because you've got, I think, an IT main job. What do you do at the airport?
Ramp agent.
Okay.
Marshal planes in at night. Last two flights.
Okay. How late do you work?
Usually I get off at midnight. Last night was a unicorn. Late flight came in after 1.
Okay. How many nights a week do you work?
5 nights a week.
5 nights a week. When do you start?
9 o'clock.
9 p.m. Okay. Are you planning on working this week?
Yeah, but the flights, I have one flight coming in for the next 2 days.
What airline do you work for?
JetBlue.
Oh, okay. If there's only one flight each night, or only one flight across 2 entire nights?
One flight each night.
Okay. What time is that flight?
10 o'clock tonight, 10:30.
Once it lands, can you get out of there? Or do you have to stay around just in case a plane shows up?
No. I know those were the last 2 flights coming in tonight.
Okay.
I said last 2, one's from New York, one from Boston.
Okay.
New York comes early part of the day to be here about 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock today.
Okay.
Boston comes around about 10:30 at night.
Okay.
Then we do whatever their routine is for the night and go home.
Shut down and get out of there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you think you can do both your part-time job at the airport and your full-time job this week as a juror, being wide awake and paying attention, you can do both. If tomorrow I'm noticing you phasing out on us again, then I'm going to have to direct you to not do your part-time job at night so that you're on point here, because that's job 1 for the next few days. Okay. Good. Excellent. That's all. I just wanted to make sure if there was anything we could do to help you stay alert, mints, food, whatever it is, we would make that available. And if you need a break, just let us know. Okay. All right. Send you back there.
All right.
Let's bring the jury out.
Okay.
Not at risk of running past Friday. In fact, when I checked with the lawyers, they said we're ahead of schedule. But when I have these drug court days, I always try to see if the jury, because we start at 12:30 or 1, if we can stay till 6-ish on that Wednesday. If we can't, you all have lives outside of this. I'll understand, but confer as a group, check with the responsibilities you have outside of this courtroom tonight. And when we convene tomorrow, I'll see how late we can go tomorrow. Okay. Mr. Amati, Mr. Rao, if you call the next witness, please.
Okay, we'll call Mr. Bruce. Hey, Bruce.
Yeah, so this trial, according to both the defense and the prosecution, will not get past Friday. Hey. And folks, just for the record, this is quite normal trial. I mean, this will then be a 4-day trial. Even if it's murder, this is kind of the usual. I mean, what we see here when it goes on for 6 to 8 weeks for a hit and run, or a year for the RICO, that's not the normal. The normal is, hey, here's the evidence. Yeah, thank you for the evidence. Let's vote.
This is what I heard, that testimony will give. Can you state your name for the record?
My name is Terry Bruce, TerryBruce.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bruce. Thank you for being here. Can you tell the jurors how you are currently employed?
I am currently the Chief Operating Officer for the Tip Top Food Group based in Marietta, Georgia.
Okay. And how long have you worked with?
Okay, now this is the the boss of both the victim and the alleged perpetrator. Hi, Derek. Hi, Felicia.
The Tip Top Food Group here in Marietta, Georgia.
14 years.
Okay. And just briefly tell the jurors a little bit about your company, the Tip Top Food Group, and what your company does.
We are a poultry manufacturer for a category of poultry called spent fowl.
Call what?
Spent fowl.
What does that mean?
Those are the chickens that lay the eggs that become the primary piece of the poultry industry. So they lay fertile eggs to get hatched to go to other chicken processors.
Spent fowl.
It's a very niche market. Yes. Sir.
Okay.
And your office or your facility in Marietta, can you explain to the jurors how large it is and what the property entails as it relates to your business, warehousing and things of that nature?
Sure. Processing facility is around 125,000 square feet. At that single location, we employ around 650 employees. It's on 18 acres, and we bring in live poultry from basically the Mississippi River east and harvest the poultry, and then market it and sell it all over the world.
And as a part of your processing facility, is there an department that is the sanitation department that your company utilizes?
There is. We run 2 operational shifts and then a sanitation shift. Under government regulations, we clean every 24-hour period.
And is the typical, I guess, the work week for members of the sanitation department Sunday through Friday?
That is a correct statement.
And is the typical, I know they can vary, the general hours from, between the 10 and 11 p.m. until 6:30 a.m. in the morning.
Yes, sir.
And back in on August 12th of 2024, did detectives with the Demarco Police Department pay your processing facility visit?
Yes.
And did you have an opportunity to speak with, I know you probably don't remember their names, it's been a minute, a male or female detective and sergeant?
That is correct.
Okay. And have you had an opportunity to speak with members of the district attorney's office since then?
Yes.
Okay. And I want to show you what's been marked as state exhibits 58, 137, and then 138. You'll just take a look at those and let me know if you recognize them, sir.
Yes, I do.
And can you tell the jurors, as it relates to state exhibits 58, 137, and 138, how do you recognize each specific exhibit?
Exhibit 58 is an email that I had sent to the officers that came to the facility to visit that day initially from Marta. The documents 137 and 138 is information that I pulled out of our employee management system that I submitted to the district attorney's office when they came by to request it.
And all the documents that are contained within state exhibits 58, 137, and 138, do all of them contain information as relates to employees, Xavier Mosley and Demarco Mathis, who were employed back in 2024 at your facility?
That is correct.
And do all the documents that you see in state exhibit 58, 137, and 138, are they fair and accurate copies of documentation provided?
Yes.
This time around, the state tender was marked as state exhibit 58 and then 137 and 138.
58 was an email,
Yeah, Your Honor.
and then 137 and 138 were attachments to the email? Or
They were separate documents that relates to both Mr. Mosley and
Mr. Mathis?
And I can be more specific about that. And states as 138, is that the documentation you provided as it relates to Mr. Mathis?
Yes.
And then it states as 137, is that the employee documentation you provided as it relates to Mr. Mosley?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Wood, any objection to the admission of 58, 137, and 138?
Objections.
They are all admitted.
And then, very more questions, Mr. Bruce. Back when you spoke with detectives, do you remember them asking you as to whether Xavier Mosley showed up for work on August 11th of 2024?
They did ask me if he had been in attendance that night.
And then looking in your computer systems, do you recall if you told him he was there or not on August 11th?
I did not see any record of his attendance that day.
And to remind me at least, the shift that Mr. Mosley would have worked on the 11th would have started at what time?
11 o'clock plus or minus an hour or two.
AM or PM? PM. So he would have been showing up at night.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And it could be 10, it could be midnight, but basically what I'd call late on the 11th.
Yes,
Okay. And your records show no Mr. Mosley that night.
that is correct.
Thank you.
And then lastly, Mr. Bruce, I want to show you both stated at 39 and 98. And let me know if you recognize what's depicted in statements 39 and 98.
Both of these pictures depict our standard work badge that all of our employees would have with an individualized work number.
And it states at 39 a fair and accurate depiction of the work badge that was assigned to Mr. Demarco Mathis.
Yes,
And it states at 98, does it fairly accurately depict the work badge that would have been assigned to Mr. Xavier Mosley?
yes.
This time around, the state tender was remarked 6 exhibits 39 and 98.
Ms. Wood, any objection?
Objection, Judge.
Both are admitted.
In the screen before you, it states at 39. Is this badge
One sec. If you hit stay mute, that'll go away. Thank you.
in states at 39, the badge that we're looking at for Mr. Mathis? Would this been a badge that he was assigned once he began his employment with Tip Top Holding?
Yes, those badges are issued the first day of employment.
And is that the same for State Exhibit 98 as it relates to Xavier Moses?
Yes,
Okay. And your job title, your position is Chief Operating Officer, correct?
that is correct.
And your, I guess, daily roles and duties doesn't involve interacting with members of, I guess, the sanitation team?
That would be a correct statement.
Okay. So though you were able to verify that both Mr. Mosley and Mr. Mathis worked at TITOP in the sanitation department prior to August 11th, 2024, did you have an opportunity to meet either one of them to your recollection?
No,
And is that unusual?
no.
Thank you for your time. I have no further questions.
Ms. Wood, questions for Mr. Bruce?
No questions. Thanks for being here.
Any questions from a juror? Yes? Okay. Deputy Gordon, please. Thank you. Mr. Bruce, was your review of the records such that you could determine if Mr. Mosley was scheduled to work the night of the 11th? You mentioned that the attendance records showed that Mr. Mosley did not report for work that night. Were you able to tell if that was a night when he even should have reported, assuming he wanted to keep working?
The sanitation crew is scheduled, as was asked previously, Sunday through Thursday. So unless they have a pre-approved a leave for that day, then it is a scheduled working hour, yes, or working day.
And August 11th of 2024 was a Sunday through Thursday?
Yes.
Okay. You may have discussed some of this as well. Through your role as COO, would you ever have interacted with Mr. Mosley and Mr. Mathis at the same time? In other words, see them interact, you're in the same space with them?
No, that would not be a part of my day-to-day role.
Were you even at the facility or facilities during the sanitation team's shift?
No, I was not.
Okay. Mr. Body, any follow-up?
Just one question. Mr. Bruce, in your review of the documents, and anywhere in the documentation that you reviewed and to your recollection, was there any sort of documentation relating to a conflict between Mr. Mosley and Mr. Mathis?
There was nothing in the records that I saw.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
Ms. Wood, anything else?
No, Judge.
No? Mr. Bruce, thank you for taking time out of your day to be here. Appreciate it. You can leave those documents right there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up from the state.
Thank you, all detectives. Great.
You know, raise your hand.
Oh, that is a good question from GD. I didn't know Georgia allowed jury questions. I don't believe we saw any in the YSL trial. Well, it's on the judge's discretion. And Judge McBurney allows it. Apparently, Judge Whitaker does not, and neither does Chief Judge Glanville. I wish they did. Maybe if Glanville or Whitaker allowed jury questions, then a few of these plea deals might not have happened. But that's in the past now.
So I heard that testimony was up and so also. Can you say the study name for the record?
My name is Detective Shamira Halliburton. At the time of the incident, I was Detective 3. We can go by that for this case. It's my first name is SHAMIRA. Last name is THREAT.
Been holding out. Albert is way easier.
Okay.
Detective Brett.
Yes, I get it all the time.
Well, thank you for being.
That's
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the jurors how you are currently employed?
Yes, I am a detective with Marta, our criminal investigations unit,
And how long have you been employed with the Marta Arts Department?
for 3 years.
And you said you are a detective in the CIU unit?
Yes, it's our criminal
Hi,
investigations
Christine.
unit.
Congratulations on your
Tell us a little bit
monetization.
about, I guess, your responsibilities and roles as a detective in your CIU unit.
Yeah, of course. As far as a detective, we handle different investigations from simple theft by taking, aggravated assault cases, homicide investigations, different cases and investigations. We use CCTV footage, surveillances, different things to, we have different breeze card machines that we can use to identify the user in certain crimes. And we just use those tools to identify suspects.
And as a detective with the Marta Police Department, do you respond to calls at any Marta station that I guess is assigned to Marta within its large reach, or you just respond to, for example, issues that occur in Marta stations here in the city of Atlanta?
No, so anywhere that there is Marta property, Marta stations, our buses, we can respond to.
So you could get called out from anywhere from here to Gwinnett.
Yeah, yes, we can.
And is it typical for detectives in your unit at Marta to assist other detectives with their cases where they've been assigned as the lead or the primary detective?
Yes, of course. It usually happens in most of our cases that we help one another because the goal is just to make sure that we identify that person. So yes, we help each other with a lot of our cases.
Were you assigned to assist the lead detective or the primary detective on the shooting and homicide as it relates to what occurred at the Arts Center station on August 11th of 2024?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors what role or how you assisted as it relates to that incident that occurred on the 11th of August of 2024?
Yes, of course. Myself and our Sergeant Jackson, went to Tip Top Poultry Plant, where the Mr. Mosley was working. We went there in regards to finding out what his work schedule was. When we got there, we was able to speak with the shift manager, the night manager that was his supervisor, and we also met with their chief operating officer. We was able to get a phone number for Mr. Mosley, and we also got the information for a family member, I believe it was his sister, in regards to that. And we was able to find out what his shift was, that he worked from Sunday to Friday from 10:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m.
And through your investigations and meeting with the CEO, Mr. Bruce, is that name familiar?
Yes.
Were you able to ascertain or determine whether Mr. Mosley was actually scheduled for work on August 11th of 2024 on his normal shift, 10:30 to the next day, 6 a.m.?
Yes. So the shift manager was able to use the system that they have for their employees. He was able to log in and see that Mr. Mosley did not come to work on August 11th. The day that we did show up was on a Tuesday, which he was supposed to come to work at 10:30 p.m., but he did not show up to work that day as well.
And the exhibits that are before you states 58. Is that the information that was provided to you by the chief operating officer, Mr. Bruce?
Yes.
Okay. And after receiving that information, well, let me ask you this question: were you able to get also biographical information as it relates to Mr. Mosley? You said his phone number, an address.
Yes, we had the address as well, as far as birthday, as well. He confirmed the information that we had.
And did he confirm that the information they had as it relates to his address was 2269 Jernigan Drive in Atlanta, Georgia?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And once you were able to speak with the professionals there at the Tip Top Poultry facility, did you have any other role in assisting the lead, the primary detective on this case?
No, as far as that case, that was my role in this. It's just as far as just confirming his schedule and getting that information. So that was it.
I should ask you this at the very beginning, I apologize.
Mhm.
The tip-top plant or the processing facility, I can tell the jurors, do you remember where it was located? Was it here in Atlanta?
Yeah, it was in Marietta, I believe, Marietta, Georgia, and Cobb County.
Well, thank you for your time. I don't think I have any other questions, Detective Halliburton.
Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Wood, any questions for the detective?
No, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Jurors, any questions? Thank you.
All right, we have jury questions again. Every witness so far, I believe, got jury questions.
Detective, did you interact with anyone else at Tip Top in an investigative effort to learn about any conflict between Mr. Mosley and the decedent in this case, Mr. Mathis?
No, I don't remember. I don't recall that.
Meaning you're not sure if you did, or that wasn't part of what your role was?
No, that wasn't part of my role that I recall. No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Abate, anything else for Detective Halliburton?
That's very much.
Ms. Wood?
No, Judge, thank you.
All right. Thank you for your time. Next witness?
They would call Scott Berhalter.
Raise your hand. Do you swear affirm that testimony you'll give to be true, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, after God?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, have a seat. You'll stay displayed as the record.
Detective Scott Berhalter, BER.
First, thank you to Derek Crossan, who is also a monthly over at PayPal, which I deeply, deeply appreciate. Thank you so much. And he sends a $5 super sticker, who is Hippo saying, "Get good." I have no idea what that means, but thank you. Thank you. And now let's listen to Scott.
HALTER.
Mr.
Good
Beerhalter,
afternoon, Detective Berhalter.
Detective Beerhalter. That is more or less German for beer handler. All right. Detective Beerhalter. Thank you again, Derek.
Afternoon.
Can you tell the jurors how you are currently employed, sir?
Currently employed by the City of Atlanta Police Department.
And how long have you been employed with or worked with the City of Atlanta Police Department?
The more than 20 years, the 21 years in October.
And can you tell the jurors in the number of years that you have worked with the City of Atlanta Police Department, the areas within the police department that you have worked and assigned?
Well, I started on uniform patrol in Zone 3, which is basically the south end of Atlanta. I've also done general investigations in Zone 3. Did gang investigations for a couple of years. I spent about 4.5 years in the homicide units. I spent some time in the domestic violence unit, and I'm currently assigned to the fugitive unit. It'll be 4 years in August.
And can you tell the jurors, as a member of the fugitive unit, can you tell them a little about your unit and the daily responsibilities and role that you play as a member of that unit?
In the fugitive unit, our job is to locate, find, apprehend fugitives from justice, those with active warrants for their arrest. For our unit handles the most serious of those crimes: aggravated assault, murders, rapes, child molestations, things like that. And our job is just that. Whenever the like the homicide unit, the armed robbery unit, aggravated assault unit, when they build the case and they conduct an investigation, and once they identify the suspect, and then later maybe secure arrest warrants for that suspect, they then submit the case to us, and it gets assigned to one of the fugitive investigators like myself. And our job is to find that person and arrest them and bring them to justice.
And Detective Burhalter, do you only get assigned cases related to fugitives from the City of Atlanta Police Department, or do you assist other agencies within the greater Atlanta area or other agencies in general as it relates to violent offenders that you just described?
We do assist other agencies as well, federal and local. Fugitive unit is something that's a little bit unique to some of your larger cities like Atlanta. So while we have one, other police departments in the area may not have one, or not have one as large, or with the resources or the training and abilities that we do.
Can you tell the jurors, as it relates to a fugitive investigation that you're working on, some of the steps and things that you and other members of your team do in order to, or an attempt to locate offenders that you have been assigned either through the Atlanta Police Department or assisting with other law enforcement agencies?
Well, one of the first things we'll do is we'll actually speak with the lead investigator that secured the warrants for the arrest of the fugitive. We'll research the fugitive, dig into their background, family, friends, associates, employments, address histories, things like that. A lot of it will involve surveillance, sitting and watching a particular location where we think it's possible they might be. There's also a lot of technology used to help investigate and find a location for the fugitive.
And can you tell the jurors, in August of 2024, were you assigned to or asked to assist as it relates to the fugitive investigation for warrants for murder from the Marta Police Department?
Yes.
And the person who you were assisting in locating or attempting to apprehend, was that Xavier Mosley?
It was.
And can you tell the jurors on August 14th of 2024, did you and other members of your team, respond or go to the location 2269 Jernigan Drive in Atlanta?
We did. Detective McCure, I believe, was the actual case agent from the fugitive unit for the case. And he had identified a location of 2269 Jernigan Drive Southeast. And Detective McCure researched, reconned, and built up enough intel, determined that we were going to actually hit that location in order to attempt to serve the arrest warrants. We also learned that the lead investigator for the Marta Police Department also wanted to get a search warrant for evidence from the location as well. So our job that day, as described to us by the case agent, Detective McCure, was to serve the arrest warrants for Mr. Mosley, as well as the search warrant for the residence for evidence for the Marta Police Department.
Prior to going to an attempt to serve the arrest warrants and secure the scene for the execution of the search warrant, can you explain to the jurors what goes into, or what does the planning process, what is the planning process as it relates to executing arrest warrants and search warrants in the manner you just described?
Planning. A lot of planning is going to involve reconnaissance, such as obtaining using of pictures, maps, and after all the intel and everything is gathered, we will actually have a briefing before we do any type of operation, whether it's service of a search and arrest warrants at a residence, or even a open air apprehension, with like a traffic stop or something. We always have a briefing. That way everyone on the team is aware of who we're going after, what they're accused of doing, what their background, things like any criminal history, statements they may have made on social media to other people, where we're going, if there's any history of violence at that place. It's a total, examination of the individual, the fugitive from justice, as well as the location, and also what it is we're doing.
And is it fair to say, or would you say, based on your number of years with not just the Atlanta Police Department, but the last 4 years with the Fugitive Task Force unit, that when you are attempting or going to serve arrest warrants or search warrants, is the safety of your team as well as the safety of the person you're attempting to serve the warrant on your number one concern?
Most definitely. Our goal is always that nobody gets hurt, injured, or worse. Whenever we conduct any of our operations or apprehensions, that's the main goal. We don't want the fugitive to be injured. We don't want an innocent bystander to be injured, and we sure don't want to be injured as well.
And when you guys went to do what you just described as it relates to showing to the residents of 2269 that morning around 6 a.m., what was the first steps that were taken when you guys arrived on scene?
When we arrived on scene, I mean, we take the utmost precaution. We train monthly in tactics, entry and apprehension tactics. And we always have a plan.
Hi, Baba.
So if it doesn't go according to plan, we're
Welcome
able to
to
react
this
as best we
trial.
can to, again,
For you who just joined, this is the trial against Xavier Mosley. It is the Marta, let's hear. So I say all of this correctly. This is murder at Marta Arts. Now, Marta is Metro Atlanta Rail and something. So it's a train and bus station outside the Atlanta Arts Center. But I shorten it to Marta Arts. And it seems so far as completely unprovoked. And it's caught on surveillance camera. And Baba says, I'm on catch up and read some info. Yeah, okay. I have not done research on this case. Walking in blind, listening to the evidence, and so far it seems like a slam dunk. And Mr. Mathis seems to be getting justice for this absolutely, as far as we're being told at trial at least, unprovoked attack.
So that everybody involved remains safe. Once we arrive, we of course will, for this particular operation, there's going to be a entry into a residence pursuant to the arrest warrants and the search warrant. And first thing members of our team did, of course, was surround the residence. And of course, we're required to knock and announce. And so we did just that. We knocked on the front door and announced ourselves as members of the Atlanta Police Department. And we stated our business, which was to serve a search warrant, arrest warrants.
I want to show you what the market states that's 62 through 55. We'll take a look at those. Let me know if you recognize that location.
Yes, these are photographs of 2269 Jernigan Drive Southeast.
And those photographs clearly actually depict the location and home you just described that you were going to make entry as it relates to the arrest of Xavier Mosley on August 14, 2024.
It does.
And you said you or Your Honor, I apologize. Statement to tender was remarked as state exhibits 62 through 65 of those.
All right, Ms. Wood, any objection to those 4 exhibits?
Objection.
62 through 65 are admitted.
And Detective Berhalter, you indicated that the first step, I guess, that we're taking once upon y'all's arrival was to knock and announce yourselves.
Correct. One of the first steps. I mean, we're dressed in a lot of entry gear, heavy vests, helmets, and everything. We're of course clearly marked as being police. Says it on the front. We have a badge on the front, our name on the front, as well as on our back. And we also always have a marked patrol vehicle unit with us as well whenever we serve these. So it's pretty clear that we're the police. And then, one of the first things that we do is knock and announce our presence.
And is that something that you do more than once prior to making entry into your home?
Multiple times. It's not really a finite number that you can put on. It's comes down to reasonableness, but we do try and make it about 3 times, multiple times. Depends on the location and the situation.
And when you and members of your team did that at this location, the 2269 Jernigan Drive, did you have to, I guess, did anybody answer the door?
I was towards the middle of the stack, but I believe the mother of the fugitive had answered the door.
And once door was open, did you guys make entry into the home?
We did.
And can you kind of explain to the jurors, I guess, the first step that you take as you make entry into the home looking for a fugitive?
Even if in this particular one, we didn't have to do any dynamic entry, so we didn't have to make any, pry the door open or use a battering ram or anything. The door opened. when the lady had answered the door. And even after we have her escorted out, we have one of our officers, other members of our team, usually the case agent will start interviewing that person and find out whether or not they're inside, if there's anyone else inside, things like that. But at the front door, we'll continue to call out, announce our presence, even though the door is wide open and we're there, we're not going anywhere. We continue to call out, announce our presence, mention that we're the police, what our business is, and we'll order all other occupants out, particularly the fugitive. In this case, we're serving a search warrant for evidence as a favor to the Marta Police Department, and so everyone was going to have to come out anyway.
And when you did that, when you made entry into the home, you and your team members, did Mr. Mosley appear as you made entry and continued to announce yourself?
No. We had to clear every room, and he wasn't anywhere to be found when we made it as far as the front living room / kitchen and hallway area. We did hear movement from the attic.
I want to show you state exhibits 56 and then 100 through 104. And you'll take a look at 66, 100 to 104. You know, you recognize those.
Yeah, these, as far as I can tell, slam dunk trials. I know they aren't the most riveting, and
All right, do you recognize exhibit 66?
the witnesses aren't exploding with words on the stand. But I think these trials are important, not just for the victim, the victim's family, but also for us and for you guys to see this is actually the normal. That there are slam dunk trials where the prosecution doesn't fiddle with evidence, where the defense doesn't pull rabbits out of their hats, where there's simply no reason to be a jackass. That way we have something to compare with. Especially, this is in Fulton County, in the same county as the YSL RICO trial. Can you spot the difference when they actually have a case compared to when they don't have a case?
We'll start with 66. Do you recognize exhibit 66?
I do. I recognize all the exhibits. They are of the inside of the house at 2269 Jernigan Drive.
And do those exhibits 66 and then 100 through 104 fairly accurately depict the home that you described that you made entry?
They do.
At this time around, the state with tender was remarked as states at 66 and then 100 through 104.
Ms. Wood, any objection to those photos?
No objection.
66 and 100 through 104 are all admitted.
And Detective Berhalter, and states at 66, is this a view from the entryway or the front door of the home down the hallway?
It is. This is after, basically, if you were to go through the front door and walk straight in, that's the hallway. Off to the right here would be the kind of living room, front living room area. Just beyond that wall there, that first grade is kitchen, I believe it was.
And then in states exhibit 100 and then 101, if we were looking back at the photograph of states at 66, is this at the end of the hallway as it relates to the attic of the home?
Kind of the middle of the hallway, that hallway that we showed in States Exhibit 66. If you continue forward and off to the right, that's where this particular view is looking out towards the hallway. I think it was 100 was looking from the hallway towards the attic.
Okay. And you said that during, I guess, your initial entry into the home, you heard movement in the attic.
Correct.
And once you guys heard movement in the attic, can you kind of explain to the jurors, I guess, the next steps that you took, I guess, to identify what the movement was and how to continue your eventual arrest of the defendant?
Well, once we heard, he's not the first, the movement in the attic is not the first time we've heard it on entry operations and service of warrants. When that type of thing happens, situation will dictate what exactly we do next. In this particular moment, we maintained some focus on the ceiling area just in case sometimes people fall through the ceiling. And but we saw that we were able to clear at least the rest of the house to ensure there was no other humans or pets or anything like that, children, things like that. So, but we did keep hearing movement in the ceiling, like someone was crawling away towards the front of the house. I myself could actually hear it when I was still on the porch, just right above us. So after we finished clearing the rest of the house, we maintained our focus on the attic in this area here. We were all standing basically where the person that took this photograph was standing. In that hallway, there was at least 4 of us focusing, and we had pulled the ladder down, but there was a like piece of plywood that I think was depicted in one of the other photographs covering the entryway once you pull the ladder down. And all we did then was continue to maintain and hold. We were ordered by our supervisor on scene, Sergeant Lambert, to hold what we got, and they were going to actually call SWAT. So while we waited for SWAT, we just continued to talk, announce our presence, and try and negotiate, encourage him to come downstairs.
How long would you say that you and the members of your team continue to hold the hallway leading towards the attic before y'all successfully were able to apprehend Xavier Mosley?
Say about an hour and a half. We watched my body camera video this morning, and about an hour and a half is what it took before Mr. Mosley eventually came down.
I want to show you what the mark states at 139. Do you recognize that? The copy of a body camera that you just referenced.
I do.
And from your review,
Yeah, as Gigi said, it sounds like the prosecutor is using this for mens rea, also known as guilty mind. Yeah, I would assume you're correct.
your body camera this morning, it barely accurately depict the events that you've described in the apprehension of the defendant on August 14th, 2024.
It did.
At this time, the state contender with the mark is State Exhibit 139.
Any objection to states 139? Whoops. We good with 139?
Yes.
All right, it's admitted.
Okay.
And for efficiency purposes, I won't play your body cam because the technology is not wanting to cooperate with Mr. Rao and I. So can you tell the jurors, once Mr. Mosley comes down from the attic, does he make any statements?
He does.
And are they statements that he makes kind of spontaneously without being asked or about or question being asked?
Correct. We didn't ask him any questions. Our job isn't to, interview him or anything. Our job is just to get him in custody safely. So we were giving him orders to come downstairs so that we could safely apprehend him. All the statements he made were spontaneous to us.
Tell the jurors, based on your recollection, your review of your body cam, the statements that you recall the defendant making once he was taken into custody.
He made reference to just go ahead and kill me, man, or might as well go ahead and kill me. One of the two things. It was around that. I can't quote exactly word for word, but might as well go ahead and kill me was his statement. I informed him we're not here for that. Just go ahead and let's get this done. And he put his hands behind his back, and Detective Horton handcuffed him.
And all statements that the defendant made at that time, they're captured on your body worn camera in State 139.
That's correct.
And can you tell the jurors after Mr. Mosley was apprehended, I guess, did you have any additional roles or were there any other specific parts of the investigation in assisting Marta that you had?
Well, after we got him into custody, we still had an awful lot. It wasn't like when he came down, this bathroom door to that pink room there was closed, so that room wasn't clear. This closet right here wasn't clear, and of course the attic wasn't clear. So before we could turn it over to the Marta Police Department so that they could do the search based on their search warrant, we had to finish clearing and make sure it was safe. So we did just that. We cleared the additional rooms. I think we did a secondary search as well. We also did, of course, finish clearing the attic. And at that point, we turned it over to the Marta Police Department.
And did you remain on scene or were you allowed to leave once you ensured that the residence was safe and there were no other occupants, did you remain during the execution of the search warrant done by Demarco Police Department?
No.
And it relates to the statements on the body cam that you reviewed earlier this morning. Do you recall, in addition to the defendant saying, "Go ahead, kill me or shoot me," did he make statements about not wanting to go back to prison?
He did. That was an additional statement, I think, as the handcuffs were going.
It's a bit leading. Well, it's very leading questions, but the defense does not object.
On from Detective Horton, made a reference to not wanting to go back to prison.
And based on what you just described, it relates to all of the roles and the responsibilities that you played in the apprehension of Mr. Mosley, that kind of complete your part of assisting in the fugitive apprehension for the Marta Police Department.
That's correct.
Thank you very much for your time, Detective Berhalter. I don't have further questions. The defense counsel may have to.
Thank you.
Ms. Wood, do you have questions for Detective Berhalter?
I do not. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You're not quite done. Any questions from the jurors? Thank you, ma'am.
It's not much she can do. I mean, the facts are there. And I assume she will try, at least try to challenge some of the technical.
Detective Berhalter, did you have any investigative role in this case other than find the subject of the warrants?
Nope, strictly, our job is strictly apprehension. Sometimes we may come across something else, but for this particular case, strictly apprehension, locating and apprehending.
So any search of the residence, the pictures of which we've seen, not for a person, but for belongings, clothing, a firearm, that would have been either Marta or colleagues of yours, not from the fugitive squad?
No, our search of the residence was strictly for humans and to clear and render it safe. So that a detailed search for items, tangible items, could be conducted. Basically, rule of thumb is we look where a human could be hiding.
So you don't open a desk drawer unless it's a really, really big desk drawer.
She did. The defense had an opening statement. It was about 4 minutes long, and it was more or less the prosecution has the burden, look at all the evidence and stuff. The standard when you really have nothing else. That was the defense opening statement in this case. And she did ask one question of one of the witnesses so far.
That's correct.
Okay.
If a human can fit in said desk drawer, then we would open it.
All right. And then you said you were clearing the house so that it was safe for, do you know what agency then conducted a search for, I think you called them tangible items?
The search warrant for evidence was secured by a member of the Marta Police Department. So once we finished clearing the residence and Mr. Mosley was in custody, we turned the house over to the Marta Police Department.
Okay, so it would be someone from Marta who could talk to the jurors about what, if anything, was found in the Jernigan address in terms of tangible items.
That's correct. That'd be the Marta Police Department.
Okay, and similarly, did you ever reach out to any possible employer of Mr. Mosley to try to learn more about this case?
I did not. Detective McCure was the case agent from the fugitive unit. If we try and find out any additional information, commonly it'll be strictly for the purposes of locating and apprehending the fugitive. In this case, Mr. Mosley.
Mr. Abate, any questions for Detective Berhalter based on that?
There you go.
Ms. Wood?
No, just thank you.
All right, thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Free to go. You can take your water bottle and your bag, leave all the papers up there.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. They are moving along.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have reached the end of the road for today.
And he is absolutely correct. And they started today at 12:30, and let's see here. if you have something to say on.
You all can be seated. Few things from me. One, I've got the Dropbox, which I assume is the video of the body cam of what would be Detective Steidel interacting with Mr. Mosley. Okay, I'll look at that and get a Jackson Deno reverse ruling on the record tomorrow. Two, again, there was one or two witnesses where the questions presented were real clearly manageable without working through you all. I didn't omit any question. The most recent witness, I can't tell if it was one juror or two, the handwriting was kind of similar, but it was all about, did you go talk to people at Tip Top Poultry to see if there was an issue between Mr. Mosley and Mr. Mathis? There are a couple motive fixated jurors.
Yeah, I mean, they can always ask, but if this particular witness had nothing to do with it, they won't ask the question. Yeah, and I understand why. I want to know what was the motive, because a sudden burst of anger, pulling out the gun and shooting. I mean, it's a senseless crime, and I understand why people want to make sense of it. But this far, there's no sense in it. All right, let's get ourselves to today's. Dun, dun, dun.
I think there will have to be a stipulation.
Relevance, based on what we've time to start at 12:30, but we've got all our jurors. I reviewed the custodial interview between Mr. Mosley and Detective Steidel, and there was another gentleman in the room, and have actually entered an order. I don't know if it's hit the docket yet, that finds that the statement was voluntarily given pursuant to a lawful administration of Mr. Mosley's Miranda rights. And so it also seems relevant to the proceedings. And so my ruling was it's admissible, consistent with the Jackson v. Deno analysis and just the basic rule of relevance based on what we've heard so far. So that's in the record. It'll be in the docket. And I think that was my main homework. I also sent to the lawyers a draft jury charge that we will discuss whenever we have a charge conference. And that'll depend on how things flow today. We take a drum set to go with that drawer. So I think we're good to go on that front. Mr. Abadi, anything from the state?
Just as it relates to count 8, the 1611-133 charge.
Yes.
So I'm thinking about kind of what you said yesterday. I was listening, but I wasn't interacting with you because I was making sure my computer was working before opening. So I think there will have to be a stipulation that we're not going to put in the armed robbery. We're not going to say this conviction was armed robbery. There's going to have to be a stipulation that it is one of the felonies that is required in order to have the 133 charge, or if not, I'm just saying that he was convicted of armed robbery.
I agree. When we go over the jury charge, I think we can address that. There's no pattern charge for 1611-133, so I created one. And it introduces the concept of I think it was called qualifying felony or something like that. And I think if the parties stipulate that Mr. Mosley has been convicted of a qualifying felony, that checks the box there. But I'm not prescribing that for anyone. It was just a workaround that I came up with because I agree with you. It's not enough to say I'm a convicted felon. Then there would be a basis to appeal later on. But maybe that felony was fraud and not one of the offenses that qualifies under 1611-133. I think this is solvable. I don't think we need to sort it out right now, but you all can look at the proposed jury.
Stipulation over the other 3, but I didn't add that part, which I can add it and then send it over to you.
Okay.
We have a stipulation on that he's a convicted felon or XYZ.
Yeah, and I think that'll cover 7 and 9. 7 and 9 are the garden variety convicted felon, and all is count 8, which is not a garden variety offense. We don't see that all that often, but it sounds like the state could prove it up. But to prove it up, it would be introducing the armed robbery conviction. And if the goal is to keep that out, then the stipulation might have to be a little different. So look at the language I use in the jury charge. I'm happy to change that language so it works with the stipulation, but I think there's a way to make it work.
I
I'll work on that.
have a note. I heard you use the word surrender, that I couldn't.
I'm glad that that causes your pulse rate to go up a little bit.
Never came back to it yet.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
but, yeah,
Anything else from the state?
there.
You've got witnesses to get us through the afternoon?
Yes.
Great. Ms. Wood, good afternoon.
Hello, Judge, how are you?
Hello, I'm okay. I noticed that the candy dish has been replenished, not by me, and still remains out of reach. The drug court people were hitting it pretty hard. But there you go. Anything from the defense before we bring the jury in?
There.
All right, let's bring them in, please.
All right.
One of you got to enjoy the warm pavement all the way from the juror parking lot to the courthouse. Sorry that the shuttle ignored you, but we've sent word that shuttles aren't supposed to do that anymore. We are all set to pick up where we left off. I handled the drug court stuff this morning, and the state tells me that they're ready with witnesses to fill our afternoon. Did you all confer about how late we can go tonight? What's the answer? 10 p.m.? No. My thought is we'll see what kind of progress we're making with the state's case. Is that maybe 5:30? And again, it will always be as natural a break point as we can. It's best if we can finish a witness and not make him or her come back the next day. And so if at 5:15 we finish with a witness and the state says the next witness is a 2-hour witness, if I just break then, I'd be surprised if that's what's left in the state's case at 5:15, but we'll see what happens. And we'll take stock then. All right. Mr. Rao, if you would call the state's next witness, please.
The state called Detective Byrne.
Raise your right hand. You swear affirm that testimony you will be able to give the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. And you on feet.
Using
Can you state your name?
too.
Sure. First name is Douglas, Douglas. Last name is Byrne, Burn.
Good afternoon, Detective Byrne.
Good afternoon.
Can you tell the jurors where you're currently employed
Marta Police Department.
and what do you do for the Marta Police Department?
I'm the lead detective of Marta Police Department.
And it's
For the whole department?
I'm the lead detective, yes, sir.
For the whole department?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know there was such a thing. All right.
Detective Byrne,
Interesting.
how long have you been with Marta?
Next month will be 9 years.
What were you doing prior to joining the Marta Police Department?
I was a regional recruiter in the automotive industry.
What led to the switch?
I've always wanted to be a police officer. Always wanted to be a detective. I'm originally from a country called Belize in Central America. It took me 17 years to get my green card, another 4 to become a citizen. I couldn't apply to be a police officer until I became a citizen. So that's why I started this career at a later time in life.
Detective Byrne, do you work with other detectives in the Marta Police Department?
Yes,
And in instances where other lead detectives are investigating cases, is it common for other detectives to assist those detectives?
yes, especially in a huge case, a murder, a rape, basically any major cases, like detectives assist the person who's a lead detective, especially when you go to a crime scene, just to make sure it's an extra pair of eyes as opposed to just one person walking the crime scene, photographing the crime scene, that sort of thing.
I'd like to turn your attention to the morning of August 14th, 2024. Were you investigating Detective Stidle on a homicide case he was working on?
I was assisting him, yes, sir.
What was it that you were assisting him?
I was assisting him in the apprehension of a suspect at an address in Atlanta. So I was there with him as a standby. And after the suspect was apprehended, I assisted him with walkthrough of the address, along with basically going up in the attic and photographing a weapon that was found in the attic.
So let's back up just a second. So the address that you were responding to, was that 2269 Jernigan Drive?
Is it okay if I look at my notes to confirm?
Yes. Let me know when you finish.
Yes, it was.
And the reason for you being there, was that to execute a search warrant?
Yes, sir.
And what were the sort of things that you were looking to find at that particular location?
Looking to find clothing that was used during the incident that occurred, the shooting incident that occurred, clothing, the backpack, shell casings to match the shell casings that were at the crime scene, firearm that was involved in the shooting.
Your agency, the Marta Police Department, worked with another agency in conjunction with the execution of that search warrant and arrest?
Yes, the Atlanta Fugitive Task Force.
And,
apprehension team.
I apologize for interrupting. And was the Atlanta Police Department Fugitive Task Force able to apprehend the suspect that you were looking for?
Yes, they did. After a brief standoff, he was in the attic for a period of time. He finally came out. He came down from the attic and he was apprehended. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I keep cutting you off. I apologize. Stand up. Where were you in relation to the residents?
I was in the perimeter, basically on the number 4 and 3 side of the house. The number 1 side is the front of the house. Number 2 is the left side of the house. Number 3 is the back side of the house. And number 4 is the right side of the house. I was between number 4 and number 3 in this corner of the house. I was holding perimeter on that side. In case the suspect attempted to jump out a window or something. So you have a perimeter set on the house. Then you have a team that enters the house.
And once the suspect was apprehended, did you, Detective Stidle, Crime Scene Tech Nelson, conduct a search of the residence pursuant to the search warrant?
Yes, we did.
And in conducting that search, you assist Detective Stidle and Crime Scene Tech Nelson with taking photographs?
Yes, so Crime Scene Nelson photographed the majority of the house. I had my camera around my neck. And Detective Stidle, after we conducted a search of the room where the suspect was in, Detective Stidle then walked up the stairs into the attic of the house. As soon as he walked up the stairs, there was a blue bin to the right of the attic. A firearm was found there. Detective Stidle then asked me to come up and photograph the weapon before he touched it. I then walked up there, photographed it with my camera, and then Detective Stidle secured the weapon, cleared it. There was a round in the chamber, and then the weapon was taken in as evidence and sent to the GBI lab for analysis.
You had testified that you were assisting Crime Scene Tech Nelson with taking photographs. Did you take photographs of the firearm?
I took photographs of the firearm, yes, sir.
Approach you with what's been pre-marked for identification purposes as states 105 through 108 and states 154 and 155. Can you please take a look at those photographs and let me know if we're finished?
Yes, sir, I'm finished.
And do you recognize those states exhibits?
I do.
And what do you recognize them as?
These are the photographs that I took in the attic where the firearm was found.
Are those fair and accurate depictions of the firearms that was collected at the attic at that incident location?
Yes, sir.
All right, this time the state would seek to move states 106 through to 105 through 108 into evidence, as well as states 154 and 155.
And 154 and 55 are just more photos of attic,
Of the fire.
of the firearm found in the attic. Okay, hold on. (154, 155). All right, Ms. Wood states 105 through 108 and 154 and 155. Any objection?
No objection.
All are admitted. Yes, that carries over from yesterday. Anything that's been admitted is publishable at your ability to do so.
So when Detective Stidle went up to the attic, did you accompany him as he went up to the attic, or were you at a different location of the house?
I did not follow him up the stairs. I stayed at the bottom of the stairs, and Detective Stidle went up to the attic by himself. And as soon as he went up to the attic and he turned around, he was able to see the firearm in the basket, in that blue basket to the right.
And at what point in time did you go up the stairs?
As soon as he saw the firearm, he advised me that he saw a firearm there. And then I told him to stand by. I'm coming up and I'll photograph it since I have my camera around my neck.
And on States Exhibit 105, which we have published here, is that the blue box that you were referring to that the firearm was located in?
Yes, sir.
Is that Stidle in the picture?
That's Detective Stidle. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. That's Detective Stidle's feet, legs.
Utility belt.
Yes.
We transition to States 106. Is that a close-up shot of what we saw depicted in States 105?
Yes, sir.
And do you see the firearm that was recovered in States 107?
Yes, sir.
And in States 108, is that a further close-up shot of the firearm on top of the items in the blue box?
Yes, sir.
Is that an extended magazine or is it just?
It is an extended magazine, Your Honor.
Okay, so it's inserted in the gun as far as it will
All the
go.
way, and it's an extended clip. Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Next question. So you observed this firearm. Did you yourself collect the firearm?
I did not. Detective Stidle did.
And in States 154 and 155, is this the same firearm that's been displayed on States 105 through 108?
Yes, sir, it is.
And is
That's the
that,
serial number.
and are these snapshots of a video that was taken, of the firearm?
These are snapshots from his body camera, from Detective Stidle's body camera.
And would you mind reading out the serial number of the firearm that was depicted on states 105 to
Sure.
108 and is as depicted in states 154? And I believe there's actually one of the snapshots shows the
Yes,
serial number.
the serial number is P as in Paul, 8190091.
Fortunately, we're having a little bit of trouble publishing, so I'm just gonna use it down with you. Have that along. I approach you with what's been remarked for identification, the purpose series of states 149. We've got the orders with completed firearm. Detective Byrne, do you recognize states 149?
Yes, I do.
The serial number on that firearm, is that the same serial number as the firearm recovered at the scene?
Yes, it is.
And to your knowledge, has that firearm been altered or manipulated in any way, shape, or form in any material way?
Doesn't seem to be.
All right, this time, state to admit states 149 to evidence.
Ms. Wood, any objection to states 149?
There.
Admitted.
Just for record, I'm publishing firearms to the jury. Detective Byrne, upon assisting Detective Seidel with the execution of the search warrant at the residence, did that kind of conclude your specific involvement with respect to this case?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time, sir. I appreciate it.
Ms. Wood, do you have any questions for lead detective Byrne?
I do not. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Questions from the jurors? Oh, yes? Okay, do you need cards? Okay, can you pass her? And we'll get more. We have an infinite supply of cards, so don't be shy about using them.
More
you-
jury questions.
One side. Yeah, have they been doing two so far? Okay, I'll bring it up. Thank you. I don't know that I said it, but you guys have been doing a good job. Please only write on one side of the card because they ultimately get made part of the record, and it's easier to photocopy one-sided cards than two. But so far, everyone's been one-sided in their writing. Thank you. All right, counsel, I will see you right outside. Detective will be right back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And we have a sidebar, so let's skip ahead. That's the second sidebar in the, but technically, when it comes to jury questions, he discusses it with the attorneys at sidebar. But this is not that kind of a sidebar that I actually count. Skipping.
Suggestion. Thank you. Oh, one other suggestion, if not, if you know what photos of that, I can do them because my device does have keyboard. And so if you just say exhibit 7, I can put exhibit 7 on. I just don't know how well organized they are. But in particular, me working with Stidle, you've got a bunch of photos. If you put them on a thumb drive, I've done that in a trial, but it's a civil case because they come figure stuff out. I don't mind as long as there's not an objection. It'll keep me engaged. Detective Byrne, few questions. Are we, what's it say on your screen there?
Says, stay muted.
Click stay muted, please, or press stay muted. Thank you. Are you able to get any images up right now, or if you could put up the one that showed the blue bin that we've been talking about, please? I think that was 62, that might have been one higher. All right, Detective, did you have to remove the lid of that? You can see the lid is to the side there. Did you have to remove, or did Detective Steidel have to remove the lid to find what was in there?
I'm not sure, Your Honor, if Detective Steidel raised the lid, but I did not. When I went out.
First, yes, Derek, that gun seems to have had an extended mag on it. And as Gigi says, I can kind of see why cell trial didn't allow your questions. We might have still been here for that trial. Yeah.
There, that's how I saw it.
So what's depicted in the photos we've seen is how things were when you captured them on film?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Would the search warrant that you and Detective Steidel had obtained have authorized him to remove a lid if the lid had been on that bin?
The search warrant authorized us to search the house so we could find a firearm, bullets, clothing. So because Detective Steidel specifically asked for the search warrant to find the clothing items that he wore during the incident, the shell casings that would match the shell casings found at the crime scene, a firearm. So with that search warrant, Detective Steidel and myself were able to search, with that scope, we could search anywhere a clothing, a shirt could be placed, a handgun, a bullet. So.
Okay, we heard from a different detective yesterday that they were looking for a person, so they could not open a small drawer because there wouldn't be a person in there. But because you're looking for a bullet,
right,
you would have authority with your search warrant to open a small drawer, or if that lid, did you take it down, or that's the Wi-Fi doing its thing? Okay, you can leave it down. That's fine. We're good. But that lid was off. The search warrant would have authorized pop open that lid because in a bin that large, there could be a gun or clothes or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Do you know if all the things that you described, the firearm and the clothing, were in one bin, or they were in different bins and Detective Steidel put them all together in one place?
The gun was the only thing that was up in the attic with that extended magazine. We did find some other items like clothing, backpack inside his bedroom. So some items were found in his bedroom. I believe a shoe, if I remember correctly, a shoe was found in the living room area when we walked in the house. But in his bedroom, a lot of items were found, including a backpack that he wore during the incident. And but the firearm and the one extended mag was the only thing that was found in that blue bin in the attic when we went up there.
Got it. You have now used the phrase extended mag or clip several times. I think I asked you about it. Will you tell the jurors, please, what an extended magazine or extended clip is?
Okay, so basically an extended magazine is when you have a firearm that would normally carry 8, 10 rounds, or maybe 15 rounds in some cases. But then when you get an extended mag, so you have an extension at the bottom of the handgun, so that way you could double up in the amount of bullets that gun carries. So instead of having a 9-round magazine or a 15-round magazine, you could have a 25 or 30-round magazine. And so it makes it extended. So basically when you're holding the gun, the magazine extends out further back. And I can show you, if you look at the gun clips, if you look at the magazine inside the box, you can see that extra piece sticking out.
And extended magazines or clips are things you can buy at a gun store?
Yes. You could buy an extended magazine for almost every weapon that you want.
They're legal?
Yes, it's legal.
Okay.
The extended mag part is legal.
You do any investigative work to determine if the firearm that we've seen that was recovered was registered to anyone?
I did not. I believe Detective Steidel did that, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you do any work with any of your colleagues who were at the scene of the shooting to see if the backpack that was left behind by the decedent, Mr. Mathis, what was in that backpack? In other words, search that backpack.
I did not, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rao, do you have any questions for Lead Detective Byrne based on that?
Detective Byrne, your sole involvement in this case was limited to the search warrant of the residence that you have been testifying to, right?
Yes, sir.
And in conducting the search of that residence, you and Detective Steidel and crime scene tech Nelson will kind of divided up responsibilities. Would that be a fair statement to say?
Yes, sir.
And as it relates to the extended magazine, to your knowledge, as a law enforcement officer, is it permissible for a convicted felon to be in charge of possession of a firearm or an extended magazine that goes into a firearm?
A convicted felon should never be in possession of a firearm or an extended magazine.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Ms. Wood, do you have any additional questions or your first questions for Detective Byrne?
Just a few, Judge.
Okay.
Detective, you conducted the search of the bedroom, correct?
Yes, I basically walked along beside Detective Steidel while at a crime scene or at a search warrant like that at a location. Like normally two detectives are kind of side by side looking at the entire the entire location. That way it's better for two people and four sets of eyes instead of just two sets of eyes. That way if one person misses something, the other person could be like, did you see this? Did you see that? And we kind of capture a better scope of the area.
You mentioned a backpack was recovered in the bedroom. Is that just one backpack?
I don't remember because I did not document. I was just kind of walking with him and pointing stuff out to him. Detective Steidel was the one notating the items.
You didn't search that backpack, did you?
I did not, ma'am. No.
Okay. Thank you for your time. I have no further questions, Judge.
All right. Any redirect? No? Detective Byrne, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
State's next witness. Oh, thank you for getting more note cards. We mentioned they needed that. Santa, you're on it. All right. Next witness.
They were called Sergeant.
Who's that?
Sergeant Nelson. Is that the same as crime scene tech?
Yeah.
Nelson, okay.
Recently promoted.
All right, congrats.
First, me to raise right hand. Do you swear affirm that the testimony you give will be true, the whole truth, nothing but truth, so help you God? Lord, have a seat. State and study name for record.
Jacqueline Nelson, JACQUELYN. Last name Nelson, NELSON.
Say, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you tell the jurors how you're currently employed?
With City of South Fulton Police Department,
And how long have you worked with the City of South Fulton Police Department?
since March of this year.
Okay. And prior to working with the City of South Fulton Police Department, can you tell the jurors where you were employed?
I was also employed with Marta Police Department, as well as Newton County School Police.
And how long did you work with the Marta Police Department?
7 years.
And can you tell the jurors in those 7 years before you left Marta Police Department to go work with South Fulton Police Department, what was your role or where were you assigned in the Marta Police Department?
From start to finish, or just throughout the 7 years?
We start with your last area of employment with Marta Police Department.
At Marta, I was but right before I left, I was a sergeant at the South Precinct. I was also the crime scene tech.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors a little bit about the training and experience you had as being a crime scene tech with the Marta Police Department?
As far as the training for the certification, it was 7 classes. It was a total of 224 hours. Photography class, blood stain pattern analysis, latent print, crime scene fundamental classes like that.
Okay.
And also an internship.
And as working as a crime scene tech, can you tell the jurors receiving that training what your job responsibilities and duties were as a crime scene tech with the Marta Police Department?
Yes, at Marta, I simply just took photographs and collected any evidence that was left at the scene.
And as a crime scene tech, was it common in any of the scenes or the cases that you worked on, you worked alongside with various detectives who was either the primary or lead detective?
Yes.
And on August 14th of 2024, did you go to the home 2269 Jernigan Drive in Atlanta, Georgia with Detective Steele and Detective Byrne?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors why did you go along with Detective Steele and Detective Byrne on August 24th to that location?
Yeah, they did a search warrant on that house as well as an arrest warrant. And once they searched the house, any evidence that needed to be collected, I collected that evidence as well as photographing the actual property.
And prior to August 14th, 2024, when you went to the Jernigan Drive address, do you have any other involvement in Detective Steele case?
No.
Now, I want to show you, let's get this out of the way. I want to show you state's exhibits 61, and then 67 through 96, 99, and then 109 through 120. Take a second. I get an opportunity to, prior to your testimony, to view the exhibit numbers that I just referenced.
Yes, sir.
While she's flipping through, can you give me those numbers again,
Yes, Your Honor.
please?
So exhibit 61.
Yeah.
And then 67 through 96, 99, and then 109 through 120.
Thank you.
Ow. Mr. Jingles, do not boop with your claws. It hurts like hell. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Do you recognize those exhibits?
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna start with, state exhibits, 61, 67 through 96, and then 99. Do you recognize those photographs that you took
Yes.
at the Jernigan address?
Yes.
Okay. And are the photographs that are depicted in the state's exhibits that I just mentioned, are they fair and accurate copies of the photos you took on August 24th,
Yes.
August 14th, 2024?
Yes.
And as it relates to state's exhibits 109 through 120, do those exhibits fairly and accurately depict the items that you collected and took back to Marta police evidence and property?
Yes.
Okay. And do those exhibits 109 through 120, are they fair and accurate copies of the photographs that you took once you arrived back from collecting those items at the Jernigan address and photographing them at the Marta police evidence and property location?
Yes.
This time you're on the state attended with the Marta state exhibits 61, 67 through 96, 99, and 109 through 120.
Ms. Wood, any objection to that collection of photos?
No objection.
They are all admitted 61, 67 through 69, through 96, 99, 109 through 120.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Now, Mr. Rao, pull those up. I'm gonna start with state exhibit 61. That relates to the photo of the house. This is the house that you arrived to, and eventually, as part of a search warrant, photographs inside the property.
Yes.
And now, once you, once the arrest had been completed and you were able to go inside the home to take photographs and collect evidence, did you photograph and go through each room in the house?
Yes.
Okay. And when you were doing this, were you doing it alongside Detective Stidle as well as Detective Byrne?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors why were Detective Stidle and Detective Byrne kind of right next to you going along, telling you items of evidence to either collect and or photograph?
They knew exactly what they were looking for, so I was just there to collect whatever they needed as well as photograph.
Okay. So this day you were kind of like the photographer.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in states exhibit 67 and 68, or just all right, so I think I was referencing states exhibit 67, and can you tell the jurors, is this a photograph of the part of the living room of what you walk inside 2269 Jernigan?
Yes.
And if you go to the next photo in 68, is this a close-up of the white shoes that were on the floor of that living room?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to show you state's exhibit 140. You will open up state's exhibit 140.
Yes.
And how do you recognize states exhibit 140?
White Air Force Ones.
And are those the same white Air Force ones that we're seeing in states exhibit 68?
Yes.
And this time around, the state presented with the Marta states exhibit 140 in evidence.
Ms. Wood, any objection to the admission of the white Air Force Ones that are states 140?
No objection, Judge.
Admitted.
And I'll move to states exhibit 69. Is this a photograph of the hallway that connects the living room to the bedrooms in the other area of the home?
Yes.
Okay, and then do you see the first door on the left-hand side?
Yes.
Do you go into that bedroom and take photographs?
Yes.
And if we go to states exhibit 71, is this a photograph of kind of you're in the door frame or the doorway of that bedroom?
Yes.
Okay, and in states exhibit 72, can you tell the jurors what we're looking at here?
I think that was 9mm rounds of ammunition.
Give you the mark for states exhibit 141. Last states exhibit 141.
Yes.
And how do you recognize 141?
From the pictures, and I also processed it.
Okay, and so it's stated at 141, the same shell casing you just referenced in States Exhibit 72, and that you eventually processed and collected.
Yes.
Are they shell casings or are they actual cartridges? Those are live rounds.
Live
Okay.
round.
I apologize. At this time, the State Senator with remarks, States Exhibit 141 is evidence.
Ms. Wood,
No objection, Judge.
admitted.
And if we move to States Exhibit 73, this is just a close up of what you actually collected, the live rounds in State Exhibit 141.
Yes.
Now, if we go to State Exhibit 75, 76,
Not
and State
even,
Exhibit 75, and go to
they will have, by all accounts, they will have one of these firearms comparison expert thing is, it's a shit science, folks, but this, not even those, such a sham science can get this wrong, I feel.
States Exhibit 76 is that the area that we just saw, it States Exhibit 75 between the bed and the wall.
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors, we go to the next photo, States Exhibit 77. Did you collect the backpack that we can see in States Exhibit 77?
Yes.
I want to show you States Exhibit 147.
Am I not objection? To move it out? We gotta move it out?
No, I can get well.
Oh,
I would follow Mr. Mathis' directions. I'm fine with you touching it as long as you don't mind touching it.
You don't mind.
am I?
Okay, I'll be recognized as he's making with 147. And what is it? 147.
Black with bag.
Okay, it's the same black with bags.
Yes.
Photograph. Time on the same agenda with the marks. Exhibit 147 and evidence.
147?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Wood,
No objection, Judge.
admitted.
And just black with bags, which is States Exhibit 147. If we move to States Exhibit 78, this is the same black with bag.
Yes.
And these were items that were collected in that bedroom.
Yeah.
Now, if we now, as you continue, I guess, to go around the bedroom with Detective Steele and Detective Byrne, do you also take photographs of any personal items like IDs and
Yes.
smart police cars?
Yes.
Okay, and in States Exhibit 80 through 84, starting with 6 and 80, this is an example, this is a wallet,
Yes.
and the photos after, it's an identification card for Xavier Mosley,
Yes.
well as, move to 83, this a license.
Yes.
Hi, Dave. Says, have you seen the videos of the shooting? Is it clearly this defendant? I mean, yeah, you can kind of tell. Wears the same ball cap, same kind of dreads, same kind of clothes. Yeah, and his parole officer identified him. So, yeah, it's kind of a clear-cut case, this one.
In 6 to 83,
Yes.
who is licensed for.
Xavier Mosley.
Okay, and did you collect the items that we've seen now in States Exhibits 80 through 84?
Yes.
Okay, and you'll move. And States Exhibit 85, can you tell us what we're looking at?
Atlanta Falcons hat.
Okay, and I want to show you, do you remember where that Atlanta Falcons hat was at the time that you and the other detectives were searching that room?
I just remember in the room somewhere.
I want to show you States Exhibit 148. Open that, we're going to correct that.
Yes.
I can tell the judge, do you recognize what's in the bag containing States Exhibit 148?
Yeah, the same Atlanta, red and black Atlanta Falcons hat.
The same State Lieutenant Marcus States Exhibit 148 is evidence.
Objecting.
148 submitted.
The same hat we see in photo.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm going back to some of the items we talked about earlier, State Exhibit 145. You recognize that?
Yes.
And how do you recognize it?
The black wallet.
And same black wall, it's all in the photographs and State Exhibit 80 or 84.
Yes.
This time around the State Lieutenant with Marcus State Exhibit 145.
No objection.
Also admitted.
And as you continue to move through the bedroom with the detectives, did they direct you to take photographs of, items that were found on the left-hand side of the room, kind of near a bookshelf and things of that nature?
Yes.
And is that what we're looking at in State's Exhibit 95? State Exhibits 95, 96, 97, and 99.
Yes.
Okay. And were the items that are contained in those photographs are collected?
Yes.
I want to show you open market states at 146. Well, you can cut that open. Look inside there.
Yes.
And for the same items that we can see in States Exhibit 99 we collected.
Yes.
This time around, the state of tender was the mark as States Exhibit 146 and evidence.
And 146 is basically collection of items. What would you call 146?
So it's 146 collection of items, the Georgia ID, the tip top ID, and then an additional Marta Breeze card that were found on the bookshelf in States Exhibit 99.
Okay. 146. Any objection?
No objection.
Admitted.
Now, did Detective Stidle also, as he went through the room with you and Detective Byrne, identify some items of clothing that he found relevant to the case that he was assigned to lead investigator?
Yes.
And is that what we're looking at in States Exhibits 91, 92, 93, and 94, so 91 through 94?
Yes.
Okay. And were the items, the two shirts now, were those both collected?
Yes.
And I want to show you States 149 and 150. You'll just open the page and let me know if you recognize it.
Yep. Black shirt.
Yes.
Yes.
I did 149. I'm gonna relabel this one to 200 that shows up. And can you tell me what is States Exhibit 200?
The black shirt.
Okay, and it's the same black shirt that we saw in States Exhibits 91 and 92 that had investor on the front and then the design on the back.
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors in States Exhibit 150 what is it? What is that?
It was a plaid shirt.
Okay, it's the same black shirt we see in States Exhibit 94.
Yes.
This time around, the state tender was marked to States 150 and 200.
No objection.
Both are admitted.
Now, did you also collect, I want to show you what the market states do. It's 142 to 144. You recognize those?
Yes.
Folks,
Can you tell
this
there's,
is absolutely normal in a
collect
trial.
random
Here's the
rounds
piece of
of
evidence
ammunition
we
that were
collected.
found also?
Here's a picture
Yes.
of it.
Is that what we see
Ta-da, it's
in the
evidence.
3 bags labeled states that 142, 143, and 144?
Yes.
And this time around, the state within their 142 through 144.
Can you tell me again, please, Sergeant Nelson, where you collected those? Those are from the box that we saw, or those were
Just loose round.
loose rounds somewhere in the house?
Yes. In the bedroom.
In the bedroom?
In the bedroom.
Okay, I just missed it. So there was the box that had the live rounds in it, and then there were additional loose rounds that you or the detective found while you were doing what you were. Okay.
Or either these same, I can't remember. Some of them were loose. Some of them came out of the magazine
Okay.
that were recovered.
All right, but 142, 43, and 44 are all 9mm
Yes.
rounds.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Ms. Wood, any questions about those? And if not, any objection to their admission?
No objection.
They're admitted.
Now, can you tell the jurors, once you finished photographing the items that we talked about, and then actually collecting and bagging the items of evidence that's been admitted, can you tell the jurors what you did next as it relates to your responsibilities with the case?
I went back to our South Precinct, which is at College Park, and I processed everything and put it in our property lockers.
Can you tell the jurors what do you mean by processing the items of everything?
Processing simply means just separating it, categorizing it, and putting it on the inventory sheet, and putting it in the correct bags, and put it in the property lockers.
And I want to show you State Exhibit 111. That's what you can you tell the jurors, is that a round that was actually chambered in the firearm that was found in the home?
Yes.
And the firearm that was found in the home was photographed by Detective Byrne and collected initially by Detective Byrne and Detective Style and returned to you.
Yes.
And is that what we're looking at in the next series of photographs? In State's Exhibits 112 through 119.
Yes.
And the photographs in 112 through 119 are they the photographs of the actual firearm? That is State's Exhibit. Yes. Okay. And then lastly, in State's Exhibit 120. Was this the cards that we talked about earlier, the two Marta Breeze cards and the ID and then the tip top ID of the defendants that were located in
Yes.
the bedroom. Once you finish processing and then photographing again the items we've spoken about at a property and evidence and marking each other jurors, what your next steps were.
So once I finish bagging everything, we put everything in a locker and close it. Once it's closed, then our property and evidence department will come pick it up and take it to our property lockers or the property division.
And when items of evidence are locked in the lock boxes or the lockers of MARTA, is it common that different items have been taken to other agencies like the Georgia Bureau of Investigations for testing?
It can be, yes.
And as it relates to the role that you played for this case, did this complete your involvement?
Yes.
I don't have any further questions, but what is my?
Ms. Wood, questions for Sergeant Nelson?
Very briefly, Judge. Good afternoon. Just want to clarify, you only responded to the Jernigan Drive location, correct?
Correct.
You never processed the scene at the MARTA station?
Correct.
That's it. Thank you, Judge.
All right. Any follow-up to that, Mr. Abate? Jurors, questions for Sergeant Nelson? Unsurprisingly, we have a few.
All right, more jury questions. Let's see what these are all about. And as usual, the bailiff collects the questions, brings it over to the
Thank
judge.
you.
The judge, hey, defense, prosecutor, get up here. We're going to discuss which of these questions we can ask, if any. So skipping ahead while they discuss it. Yeah, Dave says here, jury has better questions than the defense counsel. Well, the defense counsel have, I think she's up to 4 questions over a day and a half. And how many witnesses? We must be up to 15 or 16 witnesses.
Found in it. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you tell the jurors when it was that you and Detective Steidel found and collected these items? Do you know the date?
I want to, was it August 14th, 2024?
I can't answer questions for you, so I don't know.
24.
August 14th. Okay. The firearm that was found in the attic that you've now looked at and had pictures of, are you able to say, either by looking at the firearm, and we'll get it in front of you and get pictures, what kind of caliber it was? If it was a 45 or a 38?
Mhm.
Okay. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Can we get the firearm for Sergeant, please? Which would be, so we're clear on the record, this is exhibit, thank you, 149. All right. Are you able to tell the caliber of that firearm?
Yes, from my experience, 9mm.
Okay. Does it have markings on it that says, I can't see the gun from
I
here.
think it'll be on the other side.
So you're allowed to touch it if you want to touch it. If you don't want to touch it, Mr. Abate will touch it or use scissors to flip it over. Oh, I didn't realize it was stuck in the box. I knew it was secured. It's doubly secured. Okay. Look at that wrist ring. Or not? Do we need to get Deputy Gordon in the mix? He's having trouble with the scissors. Can you help him? Oh, he got it. All right. So states 149, what does it say?
380.
380. Now you said 9mm. Is there a similarity between the two?
Kind of, sort of. But
Tell the jurors.
I'm not a gun expert, but just in my experience, it looked like 9mm.
Okay. The cartridges you collected, that box and whatnot, you refer to those as 9mm. Are they 9mm cartridges?
Inscribed on. Are you talking about the round?
The rounds?
Yes, it was inscribed on the round.
Okay.
The 9mm.
Were you involved in removing live rounds from the magazine of that gun?
Yes.
And what was the caliber of those live rounds?
9mm.
So you said you're not a gun expert. So if you're not the right person to answer it, say, I shouldn't answer this. Can a gun that is a 380 fire a 9mm round?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. Were all the rounds that you collected, and it was 4 different exhibits, 141, 42, 43, and 44. First, were they all 9mm rounds?
Yes.
And second, were they all live rounds? Meaning if you put them in a gun that can fire 9mm rounds, a bullet's going to come out the barrel.
Correct.
Okay. Did you collect any shell casings?
No.
You didn't do any evidence collection work at the Arts Center Marta station?
No.
Just at the Jernigan address?
Correct.
Did you determine if the magazine, as you emptied it, was full or if there were rounds missing from it?
I can't remember the exact count.
Okay. Most of the evidence containers, boxes, bags that you were presented were sealed and you had to use scissors to open them. Do you recall if the bag that had the backpack in it, the thing you didn't want to touch, was that bag sealed?
Are we talking about the book bag itself?
No, the paper bag in which the book bag sat, was that bag sealed?
Just that bag. I don't remember.
Okay, do we have that bag here?
If it was, I would put the clipping part in there, the part that I clipped.
Is there a clipping part in the bag? No, okay. Any reason why that bag would have been sealed differently or not sealed compared to some of the other bags or envelopes where you had to more expertly than Mr.
Sealed.
Pardon me?
Everything is sealed in initial.
Okay. Well, can she have that bag back, please? That's from states 147. All right. So does it appear to you, first, were you the person who put the red tape on there and initial things, et cetera?
Yes.
Okay. Is there something about the condition of the bag that is labeled 147 that says to you it has been opened?
No, I mean, other than, no.
So was it ever sealed, or the way you packaged it because the backpack was big, just the bag itself was not sealed?
Yes, I sealed it. So once you put things in the bag, you fold it, seal it, you initially.
Okay. I'm not asking the questions well. So at some point, 147 was locked tight. It was sealed.
Yes.
Okay. If it was handed to you today, not sealed, meaning it had been opened, what does that mean?
It was open before me, somewhere along the line.
Got it. And would that be unusual in your experience testifying in trials that from the time you had it, it had changed custody, et cetera, and someone had opened it to get access to what's inside?
You say, is that usual?
It would be unusual for something like that to happen.
Yes.
Okay. Were you asked or directed by any of the detectives to dust for fingerprints anywhere?
No.
Is that something is in your skill set?
Yes.
Okay, but that wasn't an assignment for you at the Jernigan address?
Correct.
All right. That's all I have. Mr. Body, any questions for Sergeant Nelson?
Sergeant Nelson, is it common and then before trial that the DA's office has to pick up the evidence or to admit it during the trial of the case that we've done here today?
Correct.
And is it common prior to the testimony of any certain witness that in items that are bulky in bags that the DA's office opens the bag to look inside prior to your testimony?
Possibly.
And based on what you were, based on your role as it relates to working with Detective Steidel and Detective Byrne, was any testing at all asked of you to be done on that work bag?
No, we don't have a lab. Well, Marta didn't have a lab. So any testing would everything would have been sent off.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Wood?
Thank you, Judge. I just want to make sure I understand correctly. once you process the evidence and entered it to the locker or however it happens, do you have any other contact with it between that point and right now?
No. Once the locker is sealed, it's sealed. No one has access, except for the property and evidence department.
Okay, and then at some point it transfers to the district attorney's office, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then you said you did not dust for fingerprints. Did you collect any DNA evidence at any point at that address? Okay. Thank you. No further questions. Thanks for being here.
Anything else, Mr. Body?
There.
All right. Thank you, Sarge, for your time. You are free. You can leave all that stuff there. It's someone else's issue.
Yeah, I agree with Gigi here that the judge McBurney. I like him usually I cover his pre-trial and his day-to-day activity. He's helping out a bit too much with the questions of. Now, he is allowed, it's under his discretion if he believes he has questions. But in my opinion, he should wait until after the prosecution has. Do you have questions, prosecution? And do you have questions, defense? And after that, not until after that, if he has some clarifications, then I'm not a fan of this. I really am not.
All right. Appreciate it. Next witness.
Next
Call
witness,
Abby Bell.
Abby Bell. I hope I can get that spelling right before she says it. Let's see if I'm correct.
Thanks for being here right here. You swear affirm that testimony you will give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but yourself and God. You know, I'm seek. Can you state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Abby Bell, Abbybell.
Hey,
Yeah,
I got that right.
Try and tell us.
Folks, I have never seen a more accurate name on a person. She actually looks like her name is Abby Bell.
Where you're employed and what you do for a living.
I am employed by Chamblee Police Department. I'm a crime intelligence analyst. I analyze crime trends, patterns, and work directly with our criminal investigations division.
Yes. And what, how long have you been doing that?
I've been at a few different departments, but doing it for 13 years.
And as part of your job duties, do you at times receive still shot or media footage of potential suspects and then are asked to identify those individuals to the best of your ability?
I do. It does happen.
Welcome back, Gwen.
And is there a particular software that you can use, for instance, if you receive a still shot of a potential suspect to generate possible hits as to who that suspect may be?
I do. It's called Clearview. It's a facial recognition software.
So back in August of 2024, did you assist the Marta Police Department in identifying a suspect in a homicide that they were investigating?
I did.
And did they provide?
Did she say facial recognition software? On principle, I hate it. But on principle. I don't want the government to have access to facial recognition because I have to trust every single person with my life and freedom that handles such a software program within the government. I don't trust anybody within the government, not a single person, not with my life and freedom. Because all you need is a few bad actors, and all of a sudden, my face is recognized.
You with still shots of media footage that they had received from surveillance cameras as it relates to who the suspect might be.
They did. They sent me a picture of a suspect.
And did you use the Clearview program to
Seriously. So here's a picture of the suspect. Here is the surveillance video. Can you find a match? No. This is a clear-cut case this far. Don't fuck it up with shit sciences. If anything, there should be at least like a lineup, as in not a lineup, the physical one, but here's 100 pictures of people who look roughly the same. Which one is it? And then the program can make a selection, and then it's up to the investigators. It's the other way around. Oh, I hate this.
Attempt to find out if you could determine an identity as it relates to the individual on those media images?
I did.
And as a result of inputting the media images that you were provided by Marta Police Department, were you able to identify a potential suspect as it relates to who was depicted on those images?
I did.
Who was the individual that you received the data on?
Xavier Mosley.
And was there a date of birth that was associated with Mr. Mosley?
Otherwise, I do not recall it.
And if I can just show you the email that you were presented to Marta Police, would that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
I'm gonna approach you with said email. Just take a second to review it and let me know if it refreshes your recollection as it relates to the date of birth of the Mr. Mosley you were able to identify.
Yes, that is correct. That's the email I sent with the date of birth.
And what was the date of birth?
10/24/88.
So, now, in order to get those results, what does it do in terms of how you're able to get that result?
So essentially, you can upload a photo and it cross-references with a database with a wide range of open source photos. So open source social media, mugshots, Department of Corrections photos. So it just kind of cross-references the face to say any faces that it looks similar based on its software platform and the database of a lot of photos.
And based on that process, you were able to receive the result that you just testified to, is that correct?
Correct. It was the only possible match in the program.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. I have no further questions.
Ms. Wood, do you have questions for what's happening there?
Time to line him up, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Do you have any questions for Ms. Bell?
I do not. Thank you for being here.
Okay, jurors? Yes, why not? Thank you. Can you explain to the jurors, Ms. Bell, what the database is basically that you said it's called Clearview?
Clearview.
That Clearview has. So if you had the police bring you a picture of me, it's comparing against driver's license photos or movie stars or what's the universe, if that question makes sense?
It does. It absolutely does. Driver's license photos are not in there. It's essentially Clearview compiles it from multiple databases, but it's all open source public information. So I know mugshots are in there if they're like publicly available. Basically anything that you could see on open source public social media or Google, or if someone is like in a news article or previously arrested by another agency and it's posted online. So you would be able to find this picture through Google or online if you search it yourself. So basically, it aggregates all of these publicly available images, compiles it all in one database, and then cross-references when you search the face to see if there's any matches.
It's pretty much anything you could find online, but that means it excludes, like you said, driver's license or state ID photos. Okay. What is the accuracy rate, by which I mean accuracy rate, I guess? Are there misidentifications, or it's 1,000% right every time?
It's definitely like, it is essentially, it is a pointer system. If you have no idea the person's identification or anything, it's a pointer system to say, hey, this person, look, this face looks very similar. It's very likely. It kind of generally does. If there's no matches or no likely returns, it won't come back with anything. It will say some where it's higher probability, and then it will say others that are less likely. But it's really a pointer system where it will come back and say this is likely the same person or the same face, but then it's up to the detective or the investigations to basically go with that and build the case. So you're never supposed to like make a case or identify a suspect with absolute certainty just on facial recognition. It's just an initial pointer.
Sounds like it's more giving you a lead that this could be, based on this photo you gave us, you could be looking for Robert McBurney.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so if you had a twin brother, it could say, and there were photos available of that identical looking twin, it could say it's actually Billy McBurney you're looking for.
And so at that point, it would be up to the detective to basically substantiate which of those twins or which of the person. So do call records, whatever the case, to kind of solidify that that is the correct person, but definitely something to consider.
Any follow-up questions for Ms. Bell from the state?
Yes, sir. Ms. Bell, you indicated the ClearView program that you use essentially is cross-references of particular media images you get with other photographs in your database to identify who that might be. Would that also include mugshots or photographs taken by Department of Community Supervision that would be in your database?
If those pictures are available online, if it's pulling, like, so most of the time they are, like, it's Department of Corrections, their photos, as long as the photo is online on the website and publicly available, then yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. Wood, anything else? All right. Thank you, Ms. Bell, for your time. Next witness.
They will call Erica Menifee.
Yeah, that's a name I need spelled out for me.
You face me, raise your hand. We swear affirm that testimony you will give will be true, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes. Can you state and spell your name for the record?
You said state and stuff. Erica Menifee, ERICA, MENEFE.
Good afternoon, Ms. Menifee. Can you tell the jurors?
I will play that in normal speed.
You said state and stuff. Erica Menifee, ERICA, MENEFE.
Good afternoon, Ms. Menifee. Can you tell the jurors, what do you do for a living?
I work at JJ's.
Okay. And
What's JJ's?
A restaurant.
It's a restaurant?
Yes.
What kind of restaurant?
Fast food restaurant.
and how long you work there?
I recently started working there in January.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors, do you know a person named Xavier Mosley?
Yes.
And how do you know Mr. Mosley?
I was in a relationship.
Okay. And how long were you and Mr. Mosley in a relationship?
For the past the 2 years before he got arrested.
Okay. And can you tell us, did you live together or did you live separately?
I was staying with him until we ended up breaking up.
Okay. And were you staying with him at this house at 226 Gurney Drive?
Yes.
And what was that for you? And how long have you been staying with him during the 2 years that you guys ultimately were in a relationship?
Well, it was majority of the 2 years besides like a month.
And in State's Exhibit 71, is this a photograph of the room that Mr. Mosley and yourself at times slept in?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember about the time, how long before Mr. Mosley was arrested, that you guys had broken up?
We had recently broken up before he got arrested.
Was that like a week before or a month before?
No, that was some days before. We actually had I broke up with him. That was that Sunday when I broken up with him.
The Sunday just before he got arrested?
Yes.
And can you tell your, I guess, what were the circumstances or why did your relationship end? It sounds like in August of 2024.
Objection, judge, relevance.
It goes to another draw.
Okay, I'll allow Ed high level exploration of this and then we'll see how far we need to go.
Yes, that's the question I have, please.
Okay.
Okay, so you get the question, and the question was, can you tell the jurors why your relationship ended in August of 2024 with Xavier Mosley?
Just got tired of being accused
Okay, and what were you being accused of?
of cheating.
Okay, and who at those times had Mr. Mosley been accusing you of cheating with?
Mostly anybody, really.
Were there times, do you remember telling the detectives there were times that he would accuse you of cheating with people he worked with at Tip Top Poultry?
Objection, judge, this is a leading question.
I'll allow the question.
Oh, yes.
And can you tell the jurors, Miss Menifee, do you know anyone named Demarco Mathis? And did you know anyone actually that works with Xavier Mosley at Tip Top Poultry? Okay. Can you tell the jurors and look around the courtroom if you have to stand? That's okay. Do you see the person you were in a relationship with, Mr. Xavier Mosley, in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Okay. And if you can you just identify him by describe an article of clothing he has on, and then who's either sitting to his left or to his right?
What, a plaid shirt?
And is there, he's on his right hand side, is there a male or a female sitting next to him?
I guess a female.
At this time around this table, we put on the record that Miss Menifee has identified the defendant, Xavier Mosley.
She has.
And then I want to show you Exhibit 56. And it's that a photograph of Mr. Mosley that you see in front of you in Exhibit 56.
I don't think that's in evidence yet, so you should take that down.
Let me,
I've been trying to keep track. I don't think 56 is in yet. I'm getting seconded by,
my apologies, I meant to do State Exhibit 57, which is limited.
it has.
Is this is another picture of the person you have described here today and talked about, who you previously dated, Xavier Mosley.
Yes.
You're not having further questions at this time.
Ms. Wood, do you have questions for Ms. Menifee?
I do not. Thank you for being here.
All right, jurors, any questions? No? Yes? Okay, Deputy Gordon?
Okay.
And I have a couple questions for you, okay?
Okay. Yeah, maybe the defense is going for crime of passion. I don't think that will help him. Let's listen to the jury questions.
Some of the questions I ask you may have been covered a little bit before, but we're going to cover them a little bit. First, you ended the relationship with Mr. Mosley before he was arrested in this case or after he was arrested in this case?
It was before.
Okay. Did Mr. Mosley ever talk to you about having conflicts with, disagreements with, fights with coworkers at Tip Top?
Not recently to the incident, but before the incident.
Okay, tell me what you mean. But by incident, you're talking about what he got arrested for?
No.
No, what incident are you talking about?
I don't know, I think he got into it with somebody, a coworker.
At Tip Top?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know who that person was?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he talk to you about what their disagreement was?
I guess it was a misunderstanding because it's the same thing, like he's thinking that, people aren't talking to me or whatever.
Okay. Had you ever heard of the name Demarco Mathis before people started talking to you about this case?
No.
So you don't know if that's someone that Mr. Mosley was friends with outside of being a coworker at Tip Top?
No.
Okay. And it sounds like Mr. Mosley never specifically accused you of having an affair with Demarco Mathis. Have you spoken with Mr. Mosley since his arrest in this case? How would you describe your relationship with him now, since you guys broke up?
Well, basically, talking, trying to resolve our relationship.
Okay.
Resolve the relationship?
All right.
What?
Any questions for Ms. Menifee based on those answers? Take a second.
I just have very briefly, Ms. Menifee, at any point prior to the shooting that you've been talking about here today, but just the incident that you referenced and before Mr. Mosley's arrest, had he ever brought up Demarco Mathis's name to you? No.
No.
And he ever told you that he had any sort of conflict with Demarco Mathis?
No, I never even heard of his name until the case.
Nothing further.
Ms. Wood, any questions for Ms. Menifee?
No questions. Thank you again.
Okay, appreciate you being here. You're free to go. So I've got a feeling it would be a good time for a break. We'll do that. We'll break for about 10 minutes-ish. Again, you're in charge. If I send Deputy Gordon in there to say, let's get back in here, you can always mute me and say it's not time yet. That hallway is yours to spread out down quietly. And we'll try to fire back up a little before 3 o'clock. Don't talk about the case back in the jury room. No outside research. We're very adept at putting questions on cards. That's the way you get your questions asked, if not answered. I'll see you all in about 10 minutes. Thank you so much.
All right, adjourned.
Coors Light. Nice one. Mr. Body, where are we timeline wise? We'll start up a little before 3. You've got the lead detective left. You've got the medical examiner, firearms examiner. That's it. Okay.
The technology works. I don't expect Detective Steidel's testimony to be incredibly lengthy. There's not a lot to talk about.
Okay.
But if it doesn't, that may add a little bit of time.
Because we've got some audio visual, not just still pictures.
But yeah, a lot of video.
Okay, I'll offer up again if you get me a thumb drive. Ooh.
So I'd give you a thumb drive. The issue is their video, there are times that it's rather lengthy. So jumping from time to time to time.
Right.
It may be difficult. I mean,
You know the time marks, or you would know more by, oh, if I sort of drag here, I recognize now that's where I want to be.
that's usually, yes.
Okay. All right, we can work it however you want. You can think about it over the break, but I'm happy to see if that makes it flow more smoothly, just because I've got the blue cable going into this computer.
Right.
I wonder what would happen if you took the blue cable out of that computer and put it in yours. It may not be blue, but there should be, was that on, that connected by Wi-Fi?
Connected by Wi-Fi.
Okay.
I can hook it straight up that, but then.
Yeah, that I mean, you do have your, whatever that screen is called. If it becomes necessary, you should feel free to do that. Let's see what we can do. But otherwise you're good to go.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Wood, anything from the defense? All right, so it seems like the furthest we would get would be state rest today, which means depending on when that is, we could take up charge conference today, et cetera. If it's late enough, then it would just be the state rest in the morning. Mr. Mosley, you and I will talk about whether you want to testify. We could have a charge conference and we just have the jurors show up a little late and then get to whatever presentation, if any, the defense is going to have. Okay, sounds like a plan. I'll see everyone in about 10 minutes.
All right.
And I will mute things here.
It seems like trial will be done tomorrow. That's interesting. We're only 50 minutes behind all of a sudden.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, it's gonna be, it was 1 week.
Oh, okay, so 180.
Pick him up and then book it. Me and him to come back.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Rivers, you ready?
Yes.
We are back on the record and ready to bring the jurors in after the afternoon break on Wednesday, the 25th. Mr. Abadi, anything before we bring the jurors in?
Just one thing, Your Honor, so we can be prepared. So if we get to the point where the state point of rest today, and hopefully we get there. Obviously, before the state rest, I'm gonna tender states exhibits 1 and 2, which are the certified copies of convictions. I won't read what the convictions are. I'll read, the 2 case numbers, 12FD and 13C.
One is an armed robbery, the other is an attempted armed robbery. Both are convictions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So you'll get those in the record as you need to. And I guess we can just, the stipulation we can get in front of the jury, it done just before, that has to be before closings, but that could happen in the morning if we fill up the rest of the day. Okay. Have you assessed the technology situation and how you want to handle things with Stidle?
So I guess what I'll do is I can give you this jump drive. And if it really starts to mess up, the court can play it.
I can be your backup.
Because I have clips.
Okay. All right, Ms. Wood, anything else before the jurors come in? Thank you.
No.
All right, let's bring them in, please.
The folder is 111 Mosley. There's several folders on there, but you'll see.
The one is Mosley, okay.
These are just the best. That's the last thing. Card that was out stuff.
So you had turned your speaker up because she was soft-spoken?
Yeah.
Okay,
So didn't get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, then I talked to the microphones. All right, so there's an Arts Center and East Point folder within it. You'll let me know what you need, if you need it. Okay.
Are you in the room?
All around from jurors. Judge, the president of the county court.
Oh,
I never come on.
oh, it hasn't been on at all today? Oh, where you been? Okay, out of town, left field. All right, everyone can be seated. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We will continue with the state's presentation of their case. We may get to the end of that today. We'll see what time it is, but Mr. Abadi confirmed that they remain very much on schedule. If we don't end today with the state resting, then there might be one state's witness that we would take up in the morning, and then the state will be done with its case in chief, and we'll see if the defense is going to be presenting anything. Of course, no burden on the defense, so they may call no witnesses. Mr. Abadi, next witness.
Okay, I'll detective, Stiles.
Thank you, raise your hand. You swear affirm testimony you will give the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. You lay down, seat. Can you state and spell your name and record?
My name's Brett Steidel, B-R-E-T-T, Steidel, S-T-E-I-D-L-E.
Hey, good afternoon, Stiles. Can you tell the jurors how you are currently employed, sir?
I am a detective with the Marta Police Department.
And how long have you worked with the Marta Police Department?
Be 11 years this September.
Okay. And prior to working with the Marta Police Department, did you have any employment in the law enforcement area?
Yes, right before Marta, I worked with Department of Community Supervisions under felony probation.
And you currently said you're a detective with the Marta Police Department?
That's correct.
Tell the jurors a little bit about your daily responsibilities and duties as a detective with the Marta Police Department.
So as a detective at Marta, we are assigned cases on a somewhat daily basis of all the crimes that occur at Marta. Our department, we don't have specialized units as in burglary detective, homicide detectives, special victims detectives. We all receive cases in everything from simple criminal trespasses cases all the way to homicide investigations. We are kind of like a multi-tool. We do it all.
And as a part of being a multi-tool or doing it all, can you tell the jurors, as a part of your training that you received when you initially began at the Marta Police Department, and as you continued, do you receive training in the area of photographing and processing evidence?
Yes, that's correct. I've went on and achieved my intermediate and advanced certifications as a police officer.
Okay. And I'm assuming those certifications include, things that are trainings that crime scene technicians would also receive in regards to photographing items of evidence and processing items of evidence.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And is it unusual? I know you said there's no specialized units within the Marta Police Department, but is it unusual for Marta detectives that you have to process their own crime scenes or photograph their own crime scenes?
No, it's not unusual at all.
Okay. Is that something that happens pretty regularly?
Yes, it's pretty regular.
Working with the crime scene tech, a luxury that you're fortunate to have sometimes.
Yes, it's a very good luxury to have sometimes.
Now, were you employed with the Marta Police Department back on August 11th of 2024?
I was.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors on that date when you were employed, and I guess even going back, was there a typical regular shift that you worked in regards to when you were on duty?
With the unit I am, we are a Monday through Friday, and then typically every week we have an on-call detective where on the weekends, where if calls come out, the on-call will be responsible for responding to each and every case on a case-by-case basis, determining if we are needed or not.
Okay. And back on August 11th of 2024, that was a Sunday. Were you the on-call detective?
I was not the on-call detective. Detective Byrne, who was in here earlier, was the on-call detective. He responded to a call right before this where a person was found deceased at the King Memorial Station, I believe. And so since he was dealing with that, Lieutenant Philistine called and asked if I wouldn't mind to come and respond to the scene and take lead for this case.
Okay. So because Detective Byrne was tied up on another case or call out, is it fair to say that at that point you were dispatched to this incident location, the 1255 West Peachtree Street, the Arts Center station?
That's correct.
And is that Marta Station, the Arts Center station, in the city of Atlanta, Fulton County?
That's correct.
And can you tell the jurors, what did you do first when you responded to the Arts Center station after being dispatched to call out?
When I first arrived on the scene, I like to generally get a gist of what's going on because I just received a phone call that shots were fired at the bus loop at the Arts Center station. That's really all I knew. So when I arrived there on the scene, I like to know what exactly happened, what all has been looked at beforehand, and get a general census of what I am looking at in the area that's roped off with the crime scene. Once that crime scene, I've looked at it, what I'm looking at, what all is there, I have an idea in my head what actually kind of occurred. So I'll take and then grab my camera and my placards with the numbers on it for evidence that I'm going to look at specifically. I'll take and start my photographs, photograph the area, see the evidence, log the evidence, and keep the evidence.
Okay. And so I want to back up just a little bit. When you arrived, you said you kind of assessed the area, scene that had been roped off as the crime scene.
That's correct.
And can you tell the jurors what is the purpose of the roping off or the yellow tape that was, I guess, roping off the area of the bus loop when you arrived at the Arts Center station?
Because we rope it off for integrity, because you want it to remain the same as if when that incident first occurred. So everything that's laying there was there in the same spot for when the crime actually happened. So when we take these pictures and present them later on, you'll have an idea of how it looked like and how it was preserved from when the incident actually occurred. We want to make sure it's all there. It wasn't touched. It wasn't moved in any way. Nothing was manipulated in any way to show anything different. You want to show the true value and integrity of the crime scene.
It is another way of saying that, but that it's the way to secure the crime scene from any outside influences.
That's correct.
Right. And so you said when you arrived, that had been done. Did you also, as a part of kind of assessing the circumstance, speak to any other officers, field protective specialists, or other detectives that were on scene?
I mainly spoke to my supervisor, Lieutenant Philistine, and the incident commander that was there. And they gave me a basis because when I got there, Lieutenant Philistine was already on scene, and he pretty much gave me a rundown of what exactly had occurred.
And before or prior to taking any photographs, do you, as a part of your assessment, kind of walk the scene as another means or way for you to get kind of an initial understanding just of the crime scene and what you're initially dealing with?
Yes.
Okay. And did you do that here?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you what the Marta's state exhibits 13 through 38. And if you will let me know if you recognize those photographs.
Yes, these are the photographs I took of the crime scene there at the Arts Center on the day of August 11th.
Okay. Prior to your testimony here today, right now, you have an opportunity to go through state exhibits 13 through 38.
Yes, I've viewed each individual picture.
Okay. And you said that they were photographs that you took of the crime scene. Do the photographs that say exhibit 13 through 38 fairly accurately depict the photos that you took on August 11th, 2024 of the bus loop area at the Marta Arts Center?
They do accurately depict Arts Center bus loop.
This time around, the state attendant was on Marta 6 exhibits 13 through 38.
No objection. Okay, they're admitted.
Now, before we get into the photographs, Detective, can you tell the jurors when you're taking your photos, is there a specific way that you take and organize your photos in order to capture the crime scene like you described here today?
You'd like to start off with your location of where you're at, some kind of identifying marker to show that you are at a certain place at that time. So I'd take a picture of the MARTA sign that's typically on the street to symbolize this is the Marta Arts Center transit station. And then from there, I would just...
Okay, we've been at it for 3 hours. I will cover this witness, and then we will have the rest tomorrow. So just a forewarning. It's 10 p.m. where I am, and I have a busy day tomorrow, so I kind of need to try to get some sleep in.
Walk and show the path I took to get to that crime scene from that initial sign. So I just take pictures on the way and then take overall pictures of the crime scene when I get there. And then when I get to the actual evidence, I'll take pictures of the evidence. And then after I've collected those pictures, I'll place my placards with numbers on them to depict what I'm looking at and what it is symbolizing as evidence.
Okay, and let me tell you this, it's already been admitted as evidence, stating that 3. Do you know what states that 3 is?
Yes, it's the printout of the call log that's kept in the CAD from Marta Police Communications. So when our dispatch receives a call, the dispatchers will input everything that goes over the radio from the initial caller to everything up until the scene has been terminated or the incident is over. So it's all kept in chronological order. It keeps log of who all responds to scenes, what's said over the radio, just so there's a log and preservation of this call of service.
And did this call of service states that 3 show or indicate that the call of service from the field protective specialist came in at 9 p.m.?
May I look?
Yes, the evidence.
Yes, the protective specialist called it in right at 9 o'clock.
Okay. And you talked about that it records officers who were dispatched and arrived. Does the CAD report indicate that Officer Marta was the first responding officer?
That's correct.
Okay. And within the CAD report, do you see on the second page, if you go to where it says, wow, do you see where it says dispatcher remarks?
Yes.
And if you go to, you see where it says at 21:03, there's a black clothing. You see that where it says that?
Yes, it says 3300 advised via CCTV, which 3300 is a South Line lieutenant who works on the South Line from Garnett to the College Park train stations. He advised that he saw on camera CCTV that a 30B male, which is our code for a black male, wearing black clothing, baggy black pants, black and red baseball cap, was the suspect involved in this incident at Arts Center.
Okay, and so that description is a description that is recorded and it's dispatched through, I guess, your call service and through the different officers as to be on the lookout for an individual matching that description.
Yes, that's
and was
correct.
that the description that was used for assisting detectives like Sergeant Pullen in an attempt to locate anyone matching that description within the Arts Center station and then the surrounding area on the streets?
That's correct.
Okay, now I want to show you. I want to show you State's Exhibit 4. It's already been admitted into evidence. Now, you described that you take a photograph of, I guess, the area in which your scene that you respond to is. Is this an example of what you're talking about? State's 4.
Is there something on the screen?
Oh, your screen has something on there. Press stay mute. And then do you not see?
Okay.
There we go.
Sorry. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, what is this? Is it 4 photograph of?
That will show where I explained earlier, my first picture to indicate the location of where I'm at. That's the MARTA sign there at the Art Center station depicting that's where the transit station is located from the street.
Now, while I'm getting the other photographs up, can you kind of explain to the jurors within the city of Atlanta area where exactly is the Art Center station located?
It's on Peachtree Street near, I believe I want to say 10th Street, maybe. I just know it's on Peachtree Street. It's very near the Atlantic Station, because I know the Art Center has Atlantic Station buses that frequently go through there, and it's right next to 85.
Okay. Is it in close proximity to the High Museum?
Yes, it's right in front of the High Museum.
Now, in State's Exhibit 9, can you, of course, can't. There we go. In States Exhibit 9, can you explain to the jurors the area that we're looking at here within the Marta Arts Center station transit?
So that's going to be the area that responding officers roped off with crime scene tape to secure the integrity of the crime scene. And it's going to be located at the north end of the bus loop. So imagine if you're traveling northbound on the train, you'd just be heading north into the station. That's just how we indicate the different sides as
We
you
already
travel the
heard
train.
this
So
from
that's
two
the
other
north end of the bus
witnesses.
loop.
Okay. And the yellow tape that we see, can anyone just enter into or go beyond that tape, or do you have to have specific permission? Who can go through there?
You have to have specific permission. You need to have a reason of why you need to be in there. Not just anyone can be in the scene. The only people that are allowed in the scene are the initial first responding officers, and then whoever has a purpose, i.e. detectives, medical examiners, EMS, and whoever we deem necessary to be in the scene with us.
And in States Exhibit 13, can you tell the jurors, as you moved in to the area past the crime scene tape, what are we looking at here, and why did you take this photo?
That's going to be the area and location of the bus loop where the incident took place. That's going to be the bench where both the suspect and the victim were sitting on prior to the incident. And that's where you'll see medical supplies and the victim's belongings right there.
Okay. And did you take photographs of what we're looking at here in States Exhibit 13 from all different angles and close up photographs of States Exhibit 13?
That's correct.
And for time and efficiency purposes, is that what we would see in the coming exhibits? And I'll just, for example, in States Exhibit 17, is this another angle of States Exhibit 13 as you move further closer to the bench that we see depicted?
That's firm. That's correct. I was just moving clockwise around.
Okay. Is that what we see here in States Exhibit 18 and then moving into States Exhibit 19?
That's correct.
Okay. So in States Exhibit 19, do you see on the bench, and we'll get a closer up photo, the book bag here in States Exhibit 22?
Yes, that was the victim's book bag.
Okay. And were there identifying, I guess, information, IDs and things of that nature that belonged to the victim, Demarco Mathis, found within that bag?
There is a prescription bottle with the victim's name inside the book bag.
Now, you talked a little bit about earlier using placards as you process and photograph the crime scene. Can you tell what do you mean by a placard, and what's the purpose of using a placard when you are photographing and processing your crime scene?
So the placards are used to signify evidence. We'll mark each one with a number for this is the first piece of evidence, second piece of evidence, so on and so forth until you have marked each one. It helps signify, so when after we take these photos and then we take the photos with the placards, you'll know what exactly you're looking at in these photographs as to why this is important in that photo.
And it is States Exhibit 25. You see the yellow placards marked 1 and 2. Are those examples of what you're referring to from markers for different pieces of evidence?
That's correct.
Okay. And before I get into what States Exhibit or what 1 and 2 represent in States Exhibit 25, I want to go to first. I go to States Exhibit 31. Now, do you see the placard number 3 in States Exhibit 31?
That's correct.
And what item of evidence States Exhibit, or excuse me, is placard number 3 in States Exhibit 31 marking or for?
It's going to be for the book bag due to the measurements of the placard facing towards the book bag.
Okay. Now, do you also take photographs of what's the contents of the book bag?
Yes.
And in States Exhibit 36. In States Exhibit 36, is that what we're looking at here?
That's correct. It's going to show the initial top view of what was on the book bag with his phone there, and then there's going to be subsequent photos showing what was inside the book bag.
And in States Exhibit 37, are these also items which are depicted in States Exhibit 37 that were found around the book bag?
That's correct.
And in State Exhibit 38, is this when the inside, I guess, of the bag is photographed for your processing and photographing of the scene?
That's correct.
Is that what we see here in State Exhibit 39 as well?
That's correct.
And within State Exhibit 39, can you tell the jurors what kind of, I guess, badge do you see in State Exhibit 39?
It's going to be from the tip top warehouse that the victim and later on finding out where the suspect both work together.
Okay. Now I want to go back to State Exhibit 25, 26. And can you tell the jurors in State Exhibit 26, what is items for placards 1 and 2 marking, or what do they signify?
They're going to be they're both going to be 2 spent 9mm SMB shell casings.
You said they're SMB shell casings?
Yes, SMB.
S, the letter ampersand, B, the letter, or S, Nancy Bravo?
No, it's going to be S in the and, like where you get on the keyboard, and then just the letter B.
Okay.
And in State Exhibit 27, is this, I guess, a close-up of the shell casing, one of the shell casings that you just described?
That's correct.
Okay. I want to show you what's been marked as State Exhibit 153. Okay. Here, you will look at State Exhibit 153 and meet. If you need, so there's a fancy good bag. It's the scissors, it's not a risk. Okay, and do you recognize State Exhibit 152?
Yes, I do. It's the small clear plastic baggie I used at the scene where I dated it at the top, the time I collected it, and the location at the Arts Center train station.
And are those the projectile, excuse me, the shell casings that you photographed that we saw in the last series of photos starting with 25, 26, and State Exhibit 27?
That's correct, they are.
That's sent out the state tender, what's been marked as State Exhibit 152 in evidence.
No objection.
152 is admitted.
And just to be clear, Detective, after you photographed the items that we see before us, did you personally collect the items and back?
That's correct. I personally collected them, bagged them in the small plastic bag, and then I put them in the larger evidence bag right here to indicate the chain of custody and where I collected the shell casings.
And then the next series of photos, and we'll just move to State Exhibit 29. It State Exhibit 29, just a very similar photo, but of the second shell casing that was collected, and that is State Exhibit 152.
That's correct.
Now, in State Exhibit 33, and can you tell the jurors why did you take this photo and what does it represent?
Going to be a picture of the victim's flip-flop or slide that he was wearing. When the victim was shot, he fell off the bench and he was rolling around on the ground, and the flip-flop came off.
Now, after I want to move to State's Exhibit, 34. Is that the other sandal?
That's correct.
And is that why you marked it with placard number 5?
That's correct.
You tell the jurors in State Exhibit 35, what is placard 36 identifying or representing?
It's going to be bloodstains from the victim from laying on the ground, and also where that's the approximate location where he received treatment from the responding officers and EMS.
And so after you finish photographing the items that you see or part of your investigation is having evidentiary value and collecting those items after photographing them next to the placards, you tell the jurors, what are your next steps on the scene?
Once I've gone through the scene, collected everything, and I have deemed that there's no more evidentiary value of the scene, there's nothing for me to collect, I give the scene back to the precinct that station's at for them to release or start the cleanup of the scene. And then I go on and continue my investigation.
And when you arrived on scene, after you got the phone call that you were being assigned as the lead detective, was the victim, Mr. Demarco Mathis, still present?
No, he was transported to Grady Hospital.
And did you get information as relates to his transport from Grady as to his condition?
Yes, I was notified that Dr. Jonathan Nugent pronounced Demarco Mathis deceased at 21:42 hours, so 9:42.
Now, while I'm seeing, were you able to locate, let me ask you this, is every MARTA station here within the city of Atlanta and then all the other stations represented, all the way up to Gwinnett, are they equipped with video surveillance cameras?
That's correct.
And does the clarity or are there different types of cameras throughout the property where different types of clarity of the actual video surveillance footage? That's something that you see often.
Yes, some cameras are clearer than others, but they're all the same system, the Genetec system, where they record and it records the day-to-day operations of MARTA 24 hours.
And having, based on what we reviewed in State Exhibit 3, the CAT report, knowing a description as well as the general time in which the shooting occurred, were you able to locate any video surveillance footage of the bus loop and locate the shooting?
Yes, I was able to find and locate a camera in the Arts Center bus loop that clearly depicts the shooting and what had occurred on the night of August 11th.
Okay. And prior to playing that for the jury, did you also locate any additional footage from MARTA trains and buses and things of that nature?
Yes.
And did you pull footage from MARTA buses in the East Point station for days before the homicide?
That's correct.
Specifically, did you look at days from August 5th all the way up to day before August 10th, 2024?
That's correct.
Your Honor, in addition to the surveillance that's already been admitted into evidence, states that it's 41, 42, 40, and 43. I would also tender what's been marked as state exhibit 156, which is MARTA video surveillance from August 9th from bus 1805. And then state exhibit 157 is MARTA video surveillance from bus 7094 for the same date, Your Honor.
All right, so the ones you mentioned in the 40s are already in 40 through 43. I think that was the business record situation. 156 and 157, which is surveillance from two different MARTA buses, you're tendering through the detective.
Yes, I would tender them under the same business records exception.
Okay.
It's too much help from the.
Okay, so they were covered by, included in the certification from the MARTA records custodian. Okay. All right, Ms. Wood, any objection to the admission of 156 and 157?
Sure.
Both are in?
Okay, so Detective Steidel, you said you were able to locate footage of the actual shooting?
That's correct.
And can you tell the jurors, how are you able to access the MARTA video surveillance or this CCTV, I think is how you described it?
Each detective, we have our own monitor and computer set up in our offices where we have access to the CCTV in the stations, then also have access to the trains and buses as well within our office.
Okay, and can you tell the jurors, after you were able to locate the shooting in the bus route area of the MARTA Center, the MARTA Arts Center station, were you able to then follow the person who fired the gun throughout the Arts Center station and through his use of a MARTA train and a MARTA bus?
Yes, I was able to then proceed to go backwards and find where he originally got onto MARTA from a bus to train station to train station.
I want to show you State Exhibit 40 at approximately 8:57, 42. All right, on your screen?
That's correct.
All right, we're looking at State Exhibit 40. Where at the Arts Center station are we looking at to orient for the jurors?
It's going to be, this camera is more in the middle of the east side of the bus loop, but it's pointing in the north direction at not that first bench you see right there, but the second bench where you can see people sitting there behind the pillar is where you previously have seen photos here just a couple minutes ago of the crime scene.
And as the video is playing, can you tell the jurors, are you able to see the arrival of the?
They already showed this. yesterday with a different witness.
Individuals on the bench prior to the shooting.
That's correct. I see Mr. Mosley sit there first, and then Demarco Mathis comes shortly after, and they sit right down next to each other.
And is the video surveillance we see in front of us here? Do you see at the bottom is it timestamped and is it dated?
That's correct.
Okay. And the timestamp that you're looking at now, can you tell the jurors what time is it on August 11th?
It's going to be 8:57:56 on August 11th of 2024.
Is there audio if we had the ability to play that, or these cameras at the MARTA stations are purely video?
The cameras at the stations is purely video, but trains and buses have audio.
Okay.
And detective, is this the angle that we're looking at now? And I stopped it at 8:58 and 19 seconds. It states it at 40. Is this, I guess, the initial way that you're able to see the description that you read to the jury earlier from State Exhibit 3?
Yes, that's correct. That's when the Lieutenant 3300 gave out that initial description of the suspect.
Okay. And if it will allow me, do you recall, as a part of your investigation, what time you were able to determine that the individuals you were later able to identify as the defendant, Mr. Mosley, and the victim in this case, Mr. Mathis, kind of arrived to that bench that we talked about here today?
Can I refer to my notes?
Yes.
So Mr. Mosley sits down at approximately 8:27:24, and then Mr. Mathis sits down next to him at 8:27:34. So there's about 10 seconds between each of them sitting next to each other.
And is that what we're seeing in State Exhibit 40 at 8? I'm starting at 8:26:54.
That's correct.
And is this the time at 8:27:04 you just described, where you see the person you later were able to identify as Mr. Mosley enter the screen?
That's correct.
Okay. And then you said Mr. Mathis, he comes from which side?
He's going to come from, well, I'm looking at the monitor, the left side. I believe it might be the left side there with the construction vest on, carrying the book bag as well. And he's going to sit down right there next to the suspect at the time, Mr.
And
Mosley.
we talked about earlier that the shooting occurs at approximately 8:58 and give or take a couple seconds. But his arrival, and the arrival of both Mr. Mosley and Mr. Mathis is approximately 8:27. Can you tell the jurors, did you watch the entire video from 8:27 to 8:58?
I did.
And at any point in those approximately 31 minutes, is there any indication that there's any sort of argument or physical struggle that occurs?
There is not. That you can see them how they are sitting there. They sit there the whole time until you eventually see Mr. Mosley rock back and forth. He rocks back and forth a couple times, proceeds to stand up. He pulls his firearm out, shoots Demarco Mathis 2 times.
So is it fair to say if we were to sit here for the next 31 minutes and watch the video, the only thing that you saw and that the jurors would see is Demarco Mathis and Xavier Mosley sitting on the bench that we talked about today?
That's correct. They'd just be sitting there.
Now, you said from this video you were able to backtrack the path of travel or the different types of trains and buses that the defendant was able to use to get to this ultimate station, the Arts Center station?
That's correct.
And can you describe for the jurors kind of how you were able to do that?
So when we have an incident, you backtrack an individual to see the original location of coming on MARTA, because usually when people that I've known to investigate that use MARTA usually have the same travel patterns. They like to use the same stations. They like to use a bus or multiple buses because they go to the same place, and then buses depending on the times.
How about that? A cop who does an actual investigation. Hey!
Of the bus arrival and departing around the area they go. So using the backtracking technique, you can get a time frame and estimate of when people normally ride, because we're creatures of habit. You know, if we're using it for work, when we're using transit for work, you want to make sure you arrive to work early, because MARTA, as y'all might know if you use MARTA, there's delays. There's anything can happen on MARTA to prevent an interruption in service. So you just go backtrack, but also when I'm backtracking, there's a potential for a better quality of camera to capture the suspect. So I can get better images of the suspect to help identify the suspect. So I want to use all cameras and tools accessible to me to find the suspect.
That's something that you did here.
Yes,
And you're doing what you just described and kind of backtracking and following the different ways and different directions that the defendant traveled. Were you able to see how the defendant arrived to the Arts Center station?
that's correct. He arrived by train.
Okay. And in State's Exhibit, still State's Exhibit 40, is this another angle of the Arts Center station? Okay, good one.
That's correct. That's another angle. It's just on the platform within the Arts Center train station where the north and southbound trains arrive. This angle is depicting the northbound platform.
And do you recall which do you see on the, I guess, the right-hand side, the Marta train?
Yes, that's correct.
Is that the train the defendant exits and enters the Arts Center station?
That's correct.
Do you remember the number or what number the train was?
Going to be train car 223.
And if you'll tell me when to stop, you see the defendant exit train car 223.
Stop.
Okay. And you can touch the screen. We'll just do it for efficiency purposes. Do you see the three people kind of in the middle of the screen?
That's correct.
Of those three people, can you point for the jurors which one you identified as the defendant?
The defendant's going to be the last one of the three. So you see the white shirt, red shirt, and then you're going to see the defendant wearing the black shirt, the black and red baseball cap, the chain around the neck, black pants, and the white shoes, also carrying that book bag on his back there.
And do you see the stairs in State's Exhibit 40 on this angle of the video, which is the northbound platform, stairs and escalator?
Yes, so the stairs are going to be right here to our left.
Where do those lead?
It's going to lead up inside the paid area, the concourse. So that's going to be where the fare gates are located, where you enter and or exit into that concourse area.
And is that where we see the defendant go as you continue to play this angle?
That's correct.
And in this next video, also on State's Exhibit 40, can you explain to the jurors where we are in the Marta station or Marta Arts Center station now?
Yeah, I said this was the final witness I would cover.
So it's going to be inside
To
the
be a
station. It's
long
going to be
ass
commonly referred
witness.
to us as the inside paid area where patrons come in through the fare gates to go to the platform because the platform is underneath at Arts Center station. So you'll see shortly where the defendant walks up the stairs inside that concourse area.
Got him there at 8:25:31.
That's correct.
Okay. And are there other cameras? You said that there's other cameras near the what you referred to as the fare area of the station where people would buy tickets for Marta as well as kind of enter into the different areas of the Marta station.
That's correct. There's camera angles located that directly view the fare gates.
Is that what we're looking at here from the video angle ACC 17 of the Arts Center heading towards the bus loop? In just a moment. Is this the fare gates that you were talking about?
Yes, that's going to be the fare gates that lead out to the stairs and escalator that leads patrons to the bus loop.
Okay. And do you see the individual, if you go to, I guess, fare gates over from the right-hand side, the side of the exhibit, this book bag and person wearing the vest, is that Mr. Mathis entering the fare station?
That is going to be Mr. Mathis, but Mr. Mathis is exiting the station at
Okay.
that point.
And when he's exiting the station, in what direction is he going?
To that concourse area where the breeze machines are. And then once you pass those breeze machines, they're located on both sides. There's an elevator, stairs, and escalator that take you up into the bus loop area.
So he's exiting or the area where you would catch a MARTA train and going towards where you would either meet someone as it relates to getting on a bus together or where the buses meet.
That's correct.
Right. And then if we keep playing the exhibit, you see if we stop in the top right-hand corner, individual, you can just see kind of an outline of their hair and the hat. You see that person?
That's correct.
Is that the defendant, Mr. Mosley, as he continued to travel through the Arts Center station from where he got off on train 223 and heads towards the bus loop?
That's correct. To use the emergency exit that's located next to the fare gates.
And you described either the ability to take an elevator or an escalator down from the area where you're exiting, the transit area where you pick up the MARTA trains to the bus loop.
Yes.
And is that what we see here? And And do you see kind of past the escalator towards the middle of this angle, the Lombardi entrance and escalator to busway? You see at the bottom of the escalator to the left-hand side?
Yes.
And is that the escalator down that you would use to get to the area of the bus loop?
I believe that's the escalator that they use to go up into the bus loop.
And if you are looking at the top middle part of the screen, can you tell me at any point when I hit play, do you see the defendant traveling towards the bus?
I have to check forward if he's on there the rest of the day. Yeah, he is. Folks, it is now 10:30 p.m. I'm sorry, but I need my I need to cut it off here. I thought, but I thought he would be done soon as every other witness, but this seems to be the guy they are relying on for the rest of their case in chief. I need to go to sleep. So sorry, folks. We will continue this tomorrow, folks. And yeah, I mean, I have no idea what kind of defense the defense will put up. I don't see any. It seems to be one of these cases where the guy, the DA is offering me nothing. I might as well have a trial. And that happens. That happens. But yeah, I need to get some rest, and we will pick this up tomorrow. And it seems like the case will be done tomorrow. So I might start a little bit sooner. Maybe around 10 a.m. your time. Yeah, around 10 a.m. your time. Eastern Standard Time. All right, folks. Everybody, thank you for showing up. Thank you so much. And I will be sending you over to Valhalla and his baby goat. He has a 24/7 stream of baby goats. So I'm going to send you over there. I will see you back here tomorrow. Bring friends. And you all have a good one. And I will see you in the next stream or video. Okay. Bye-bye.